our help. She just needs our
well,
what we think.
We're kind of collaborating with her.
And she said that there's another one we should put on there. I guess we're saying it. I don't remember. I don't notice it. We're going to have to start paying attention now.
That falls in the so category, I think.
Now, do we do that? Are we going to have
a guy
so. Come out and
no, I don't think so.
It?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we do that.
Well, it annoyed her enough that she mentioned it in her last note.
Maybe we do. I don't know. We'll have to be careful.
We're not going to be able to actually the note at the dinner. Everyone says, "God, you can't say anything."
No, soon we'll just be talking in emojis.
Soon, yes.
Smiley face. Water droplets. Eggplant. Cherries.
He's talking in that code that one of our producers keeps sending in.
Yeah, like red dot, blue dot, fire hydrant. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, man, oh, man.
Oh, man, that's one.
Man, oh, man. Yeah, but that's not a...
That's old, so that doesn't count.
I also got some suggestions. Instead of calling it slave speak, we would call it B-formatives, as in before you say something, a B-formative.
A lot of these that we have on the list are not B-formatives. They're like amazing, for example, is not necessarily
correct
at the beginning of a sentence.
They're also known as
right.
Right. You have to say it in a question. Yeah, right.
Right.
That's more like Silicon Valley douchebag VC pitch speak.
That's at the end of a sentence, and okay, right. Which is also the same thing.
Right. This, I was reading, someone sent me an article about Orwellian speak, and that what we call the slave speak, the B-formatives, is a part of that. We're really, what's happening with language and, language, I would say. We've laughed about it for decades, but we're just dumbing everybody down. But if you put the emojis and that's how we are being forced to communicate, or being trained to communicate, if you put, if you take that, and what was I reading? It turns out that the more children are introduced at an early age to smartphones and iPads and tablets, the less tech savvy they actually are. And that doesn't surprise me. These kids don't know what
I'm thinking about
these kids don't know what a driver is.
Driver. Is that the guy that works for Uber?
A driver mismatch. These kids don't know about that. When we were growing up, John, it was all about the drivers.
Actually, it was worse.
It was all about the drivers.
In fact, there was a moment in the early days where you had to write your own printer drivers to get the printer to work.
That's right. You had to write your own drivers. Excellent.
Yeah, you did.
Excellent.
Or you traded them. A lot of people traded them. Can you write a driver for me to do this?
Right.
Okay. And it had to be in machine code. Ludicrous.
So I got a copy of the latest Dabiq magazine.
Oh,
this is number 12.
Yeah, is that the one with the can bomb in it?
It is, and
by the way,
you can't say that, man.
I'm saying what I want to, but I did that too. I can't win. Let me just say this about that.
Go for it.
Now they're going to. I don't know what is the. How did? Never mind.
Well, indeed, never mind. Let me just play something, and then we'll understand a little bit more about Dabiq magazine. Which is distributed very much like, what's that other phony baloney thing? I forgot.
Vision.
No.
Sweat.
No, what was it called? It was, I have it I have it here somewhere. Anyway, so John Miller, who used to be with...
Inspire,
thank you. Which is apparently out of circulation. I guess they couldn't get enough ads or something.
Well, I think the writers quit and went over to
Dabiq.
Oblique or whatever this thing is.
Dabiq. Dabiq. John Miller used to work for, wasn't he 60 Minutes? CBS 60 Minutes?
I think he was, no, he wasn't 60. I don't think he ever was on the 60 Minutes team, but I think he was CBS, and he's like
But now he's back he's the assistant
Isn't he a
deputy.
Spy?
Well, of course he's a spy. Remember, he used to be NSA. That's what it was, and then he did a
couple pieces for.
He did the big 60 Minutes NSA piece. That's what it was, and it was a complete shill-in. And now he's standing next to Mayor de Blasio of New York, talking about how we don't have to be worried about this 19-second video, which we'll get to in a second. But what he was saying, I'm catching him in very obvious lies that are easily verifiable.
In some sense, the footage isn't new. The sentiment.
We all know what this is about, right? That right?
Oh no, you better
right.
Right. You said right.
Right. There was a video that was released that was threatening, and about 19 seconds, that was threatening New York City after threatening Washington, and so
it's a shake. It was the equivalent of a fist shake.
Here we go.
In some sense, the footage isn't new. The sentiment is certainly not new. And I assume that the NYPD just is constantly presuming a threat like this exists. Is the danger of this video that's out just recently that it might be that nudge for anybody like-minded who sees it?
Well, ISIS has had a twofold approach. One is these organized external plots, and we've only seen that recently with the plane down, the Beirut attack, and now the Paris thing.
Great how it's all just now a given fact, right?
I am Mr. Roboto.
Yeah, isn't it great that it's a fact now that the plane and Beirut and Paris all guaranteed ISIS? We know for sure.
But their main bread and butter has been recruiting people online.
How that's not bread and butter. Did they bring money, these people, when they recruit them online?
Bread and butter.
Are these people rich or something? Hey, bring me some bread and butter.
But their main bread and butter has been recruiting people online.
Bread and butter.
The video.
You're right. Now you got me thinking about it. It's not bread and butter.
I know.
Bread and butter refers to financing and that sort of thing. It doesn't refer to recruits.
Well, maybe
their main source of recruits is from their online system. You could say that
system. Platform.
System.
Let's call it a platform. Yeah.
Their platform. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Here we go.
Their main bread and butter has been recruiting people online. The videos are part of the cheerleading section of that. That's for one audience. The flip side of that audience is fear is the grist of the terrorist mill, and the videos are meant to inspire film. So one part is for potential recruits. The other part is
yeah?
Say beer is the grist
of
the...
Fear.
What did he say?
Fear is the grist of the terrorist mill. It's too long for a show title, but it's a good one.
The terrorist mill.
Oh, I'll play it for you again so you can hear what he said.
Been recruiting people online. The videos are part of the cheerleading section of that.
I don't see any sexy cheerleaders.
For one audience. The flip side of that audience is fear is the grist of the terrorist mill. Woo! And the videos are meant to inspire film. So one part is for potential recruits. The other part is for us. But we operate on a fairly high state of alert normally.
And so you got the police commissioner and the mayor going to Times Square last night, standing out in the open saying, we will not be intimidated. Do not change your lives. But it's the timing, John, of this video more than the content of the video. In the wake of the Paris attacks, in the wake of the raids in Paris yesterday that proved there were more terrorists perhaps waiting to carry out attacks, it doesn't seem far-fetched.
I think one thing that ISIS understands almost better than terrorism is marketing.
Yeah, this is why they can't figure out their name, is because they're so great at marketing. No, I'm not so sure they're great at marketing, Mr. Bill.
What you saw last night was a commercial. It's meant to sell a product. The product is fear.
Yeah, the question is who produced
the product is fear.
Yeah.
There's a title.
Write it down. Yeah, so this is a commercial, right? It's, I guess, in sort of form of a native advertising, but it's a commercial, and the product is fear. The question is, who made the commercial? That's what I'm. It's a very
who made it?
Yeah, the Site Intelligence Group, who discovered it once again. Rita Katz. Oh, I found the 19-second video.
As soon as I saw that thing, I said, I'm not even going to bother. But I'll bet you Adam finds out that it was made by the Site Intelligence Group, because that's every one of these, everything that we've seen and all over time has been from this exact same group. Is not coming from here and there. Even when Al Qaeda with the tapes from Bin Laden, they were coming in from every which way.
Yep.
This is all from one single source, and not one media outlet has ever discussed it as such.
This is from Reuters. The Islamic State video, which runs for nearly 6 minutes, includes a scene that appears to show a suicide bomber making preparations and zipping up a jacket, according to a description provided by Site Intelligence Group, a Bethesda, Maryland organization that tracks militant groups and discovered the video. Whoa, yeah!
Stop. Was the question asked by these fine reporters, where did they discover the video?
No, let me see. No, it doesn't say that. But you know it's on a jihadist website.
How was it
Dark web.
Oh, dark web.
Rita Katz.
Oh, the dark web, man.
Site director Rita Katz said in an email to Reuters, quote, footage of New York shown in the ISIS video was taken from a video released by the group in April of this year. It's a repurpose. So while New York City is and has been a target for ISIS, today's video does not warrant any kind of panic. Oh, okay. You could have fooled me.
A big stink about this panic thing.
Now let's continue with John Miller with his big lies.
Could it happen here? Of course it could, but that's because it could happen anywhere. Are we better prepared here than most, if not all, other places? The answer to that is yes.
One of the unfortunate parts of your job is you're a consumer of a lot of this ISIS media, including that online magazine, Dabiq, which now features an image that ISIS purports to say is a bomb that brought down a Russian jetliner. In your view, is that credible? And secondly, why would they give that away? What's the thought there? I mean, obviously propaganda is...
Now listen carefully, John.
She sounds like a dead cat.
That's Savannah, isn't it? I think it's Savannah.
I don't know, it could be.
Listen carefully to what he says, and I'm looking at Dabiq number 12 as we speak.
Well, it raises the question, can you accept their claim of responsibility? Let's say for the purposes of this discussion they are. Savannah, what you mentioned is their Dabiq magazine, which came out yesterday. I am a regular consumer of Dabiq magazine. This was a...
Now, notice that she said earlier, this is how pre-interview works. She said just before that in her question, she said, one of the unfortunate things about your job is you're a consumer of ISIS propaganda. And now he's saying, yeah, I'm a consumer. This is all orchestrated. This whole interview was already set up.
Magazine, which came out yesterday. I am a regular consumer of Dabiq magazine. This was a quickly put together issue.
No, but I'm sorry. I'm looking at it right now. And I'm comparing it actually to Inspire. This is a professionally produced piece of work. And just like I always feel that I can tell if a video production was a U.S. entertainment product, I'm pretty sure this is also a U.S. entertainment product. And the layout, the photos, they've got these
types of cuts.
The types of cuts. But this,
I think the types of cuts is almost like a fingerprint, and it tends to be much different in the United States. We're the ones that are setting the pace, the stage for the future of the way people are going to cut things. And this is not cut like anything you'd see naturally done in the Middle East. It's not the way they do things.
Now, this is John Miller, who is claiming to be an unfortunate consumer of this. I submit to you, he has not actually seen the Dabiq magazine. This is by no means quickly thrown together. All the photography is great. Layout is great. John, and you'll get this after the show, you would be proud if this was our No Agenda newsletter. You would be very proud at the
Are you? What are you saying? Tell me I'm a hack.
No, it's good.
They're using InDesign for this thing, probably, so it's getting that certain look.
It looks good, and
this guy. Now, let me ask you an interesting.
There's a kicker to this, but yeah,
is it possible that he's not actually allowed to look at it? Remember how the CIA, they have all these rules. Oh no, you can't look at. You can't go to WikiLeaks. You just can't. It's against the rules.
I think he's not allowed to do that on government computing devices.
No, it's not the way I know.
No, okay.
That was if you can't find some sneaky way to go look at. I mean, people do it. They have somebody else boot it up, and then they fall on. Right. They trip over a cord, and then they look up, and there it is. But except for something like that, no.
So in looking through this entire magazine, 66 pages, PDF, let me just see if there's a release date on this. Hold on. I'm just looking in the info. 18th now. Okay. So there is indeed a photo, which has now been republished broadly, of the Schweppes gold pineapple can with a little... with a detonator and then some kind of device
How does that can get so beat up? And it's like rusty on the bottom. These are aluminum cans. This can is just a mess.
What it doesn't include...
buy a new... and why was it Schweppes? Is this a promotion? Are they getting a little finder's or a fee of some sort to promote Schweppes?
I think that's kind of ridiculous.
I think they could have at least put some tape around it or something.
Well... the thing is that John Miller is claiming he has read this magazine, says it's thrown together, hastily thrown together. It's not. And then he comes, and at the end he says something which proves he has not even seen this issue.
This was a quickly put together issue. It is clear that when they had the attacks on Friday, they cobbled together an issue and they wanted to take credit for as much as possible. Our bomb squad, as well as the FBI's bomb techs, are looking at that diagram, saying what they have here, could it have done what they said?
I'm sorry, there's no diagram. There's no diagram. There's no diagram. There's no instructions. There's no diagram, just the photo. Lie. He's a liar. Lie. Now, people, for some reason, the media is so afraid to show this video, which, as we now know, was just a subset of images taken from the Site Intelligence Group, who found it on the dark web from back in April. And where we're happy to show dead Palestinian children, anything, we show lots of stuff, but we can't show this video.
Well, wait, before you go to the video, can I stop you for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Because since you're on the process of the bomb, I had to get my clip list.
Okay.
ABC, you've got to play this clip on the bomb.
Okay.
This
ABC?
is ABC News on the soda can bomb.
Just incredible images tonight. In the meantime, we turn now to the other developing headline this evening. ISIS releasing this image in the pages of a propaganda magazine. A soda can and wires, what they call an IED, an improvised explosive device. ISIS claims smuggled onto that Russian passenger jet.
Is that what ISIS calls it? Wow, these guys are good at coming up with terminology, huh? What an acronym. IED, never heard of it.
The plane breaking up in air, killing all 224 on board. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross on whether a bomb in a soda can is plausible and their new claim.
Brian Worst.
Yeah, that guy's a tool.
The components are simple, costing no more than $50. A soda can packed with explosives and a few wires. But bomb experts say it could produce a blast much more powerful than the one in this government test. ISIS today proudly displayed what it says is the bomb that brought down the Russian jet. A Schweppes Gold...
What?
Stop for a second.
Sorry.
You just back it up a little bit. They said the bomb in this test, and they show a B-roll of it appears to be like wait a minute.
Let me. It looks like you're out in the desert in New Mexico.
Yeah, it's a mothballed. It's like a mothballed 767.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's sitting there, and they blow the thing in half. It was just this huge explosion, blows the thing to smithereens.
And was
the
that
whole jet?
Did you see them put the can in first?
No, they didn't do anything. It was just referring to apparently some experiment, and so he says it would be worse than this.
Oh,
this was like this blew. It was sort of hilarious footage.
I'm not an explosives expert, so I don't know if a soda can
C4 probably.
I don't know. I mean, it's not C4. They're saying it's the TAPT, isn't that?
No, I don't know either.
Could produce a blast much more powerful than the one in this government test. ISIS today proudly displayed what it says is the bomb that brought down the Russian jet. A Schweppes Gold pineapple drink can stuffed with explosives would be ignited by this small detonator with a blasting cap stuck into the can, wired to the switch, with a timer likely hidden behind the black tape.
Close the switch and arm the timer to start its countdown. And boom.
The plane...
I could have sworn that was an alarm clock. It did not look like a bomb to me.
Blew up 22 minutes after takeoff.
Yeah, timer.
Now this is the difference between a pro like Brian Ross putting a package together with this dramatic explosion and then this that switch and a timer, and this guy, this stooge from the CIA, who what's his name? That other guy. Whose name? What's his name?
Brennan?
No, the guy who just talked.
He was NSA. John Miller was NSA.
John Miller. Mm-hmm. I mean, the difference between Brian Ross and John Miller is like night and day.
Yeah.
Miller's there talking like a robot. He's not even interesting. Get rid of him.
And he's lying.
He's not even doing a good job.
Would you like to hear the video?
Yes, I would. I have not heard the whole thing.
Oh, well, I only have the relevant part from it.
I don't care.
Well, they're catchy, these guys. So now, now we have the ISIS song in French. Maybe that was around, but I hadn't heard it yet. You know, the ISIS theme song.
Did Rita work out of Hollywood?
No.
I thought we looked her up or something.
I don't know if she specifically worked in Hollywood, but we know what she's about.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, these guys are genius, these ISIS guys.
Come on, it's one of our guys.
You Westerners will crap your pants.
Listen to the lyrics.
Under my Sharia law, we're going to blow up Paris, France.
Too early? I don't think so.
Under my Sharia law, there's only one thing that we want for: to rape a load of Swedish blonde-haired whores under my Sharia law.
Woo! Party on!
Very funny. The problem when you do these bits where you try to set me up.
Yeah. You're interjecting the whole time.
Because, yes, this is the flaw, but it's a flaw in your presentation that urges me to interject.
Oh, it's my fault. I'm sorry.
Well, in terms of me wrecking the bit, me wrecking the bit. That me wrecking the bit is my fault. But why do I wreck the bit? You don't lead me into the bit properly.
No, when you sound really excited about playing a clip, I have to back off. It's all right. It's all right. It sounds legit, that's for sure.
It doesn't sound legit. It sounds legit. You've been hanging out with Rita?
This is the bomb ISIS claims they used to bring down the Russian passenger plane over the Sinai Peninsula. The picture posted in an ISIS propaganda magazine shows what appears to be explosive material concealed in a soda can, along with wires and a detonator with an on and off switch. CNN cannot independently verify the authenticity of the photo. The article says ISIS, quote, discovered a way to compromise the security at the Sharm el-Sheikh International Airport.
That doesn't sound too hard, particularly here in the United States, now that we know that 75 TSA officers are actually on a no-fly list.
Isn't that great?
Where Metrojet departed, and a, quote, bomb was smuggled onto the airplane. The news comes one day after Russia's President Vladimir Putin said nearly 2 pounds of explosive material blew the passenger plane out of the sky.
All right. Let me see.
If you're going to make fun of the way she says bomb, you might also take this and play this ISO early before I actually play the real clip.
Oh, we're on the ISO tip. Okay. I don't...
ISO, long-range bombers.
Oh, now you're putting it at the front. Okay, got it.
Long-range bombers.
Bombers. Hey, man, are you making fun of French?
Bombers.
Long-range bombers. So, let me see. There's to me, of course, I've learned throughout the years of doing this show that the distraction is trying to prove who did this, find out, where they were staying. Was it, false flag, crisis actors? No, I don't do any of that. It's unimportant at this point. What is important is what is happening and what is being done. And so I spent a lot of time just scouring through particularly CNN. They brought in everybody on this one, John. Just everybody. And Christiana Amanpour, who returned to CNN, and I think we've discussed this before, I think she sold out. She sold out. She'll do whatever is necessary, whatever her handlers tell her to say is what she comes. And sometimes she gets a little feisty when she's trying to communicate their message to the masses. And I have a couple of examples here.
I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, when she was...
Did you notice, by the way, and I say it again, that all the news anchors, any of them given a chance, all went to Paris immediately.
Not only that, but everybody is trying to one-up the other guys with their pronunciation of French things. So it becomes funny when you hear, I might have it somewhere, I think it was Jake Tapper, is like, the gendarmes. In
They're all, everybody, like it was.
oh, crap, don't send me to Paris. I don't want to go.
It's so dangerous. They all shot to Paris.
This is
every news anchor, everyone but Amy Goodman.
It's a bonanza, I tell you.
Went to Paris.
Wait, what? A bomb in Paris? Woohoo! Party! Call Pierre. I'm ready for my hairdo. Incredible. Here's Christiane Amanpour working on behalf of the EU.
This is also has very ugly political ramifications. The whole refugee crisis, now trying to link these attacks to at least one who posed as a refugee who came in. This is literally stoking the fires of the far right, anti-immigrant, anti-immigration, xenophobic parties here in Sweden, in Germany, across Europe right now. And there are elections in France and in other parts of Europe in the not too distant future.
That's right. And they're racist, they're xenophobes, they're horrible people, but it looks like the population is kind of on board with what they're saying, like Marine Le Pen, who, of course, is now KKK, I think. It's just nuts. Here's
so many ways of describing her. It's hilarious.
Here is Amanpour, and she started to open up kind of, and it triggered me to find some other clips, as there is a clear rift between the White House, President Obama's administration, their strategy, and others. Let's just call them others, because I don't want to say it's necessarily military, but it's others, and I think I can show who the others are and what the problem is. But we've already dissected that the Obama administration really was caught off guard. They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea what to do.
Well, look, they're making some progress some places, but then like a sort of pop-up mall sort of situation is popping up elsewhere. Yes, there have been some successes because they keep...
Yeah, pop-up malls, I think she said. Maybe you said mold.
She's talking about whack-a-mole.
Oh, okay.
Mole sort of situation.
Right, malls. I thought malls. I'm like, malls.
Popping up elsewhere. Yes, there have been some successes because they keep telling us, a few months ago we would have never had the coalition that we do. So of course the question is, well, if you can do it now, why didn't you do it earlier before this metastasized?
Metastasized. There it is. We always love it when she says that. That's about the cancer that ISIS is. And
Of course, the question is, well, if you can do it now, why didn't you do it earlier before this metastasized into this vile army?
Great word.
Now, here's the real serious thing. Josh Earnest said there is no military solution to this. True, in the long term, it has to be a political, economic, cultural solution to this issue and a de-radicalization and destroying the ideology. However, most military analysts who I speak to, including former NATO officials, including CNN analysts, military analysts say...
Yeah, that's CIA, CNN military analysts.
Right now, there needs to be a military solution. You have to eradicate ISIS. And that's not going to happen with some nice de-radicalization programs or some slow, play the long game.
Okay, so this triggered a thought. Sorry for starting off with okay, but this triggered a thought. And I went back to see the president's speech from Ankara, where he was hanging out for the G20, and he was asked a question about his strategy. And for a while now, we're pretty sure that the State Department and probably Victoria Nuland specifically is leading some form of team. I'm not sure who does the operational part for her, but she's leading some form of team wherever she goes.
That would be that little operation, that small intelligence agency that the State Department runs.
And I think they may be using CIA to do operational stuff. Possibly.
Well, we don't know.
And
that's the most secretive of the agencies, so you don't know what they're up to.
We don't. Hold on a second. We don't know, but of course we always do ask the question.
In the world is
Victoria Kagan Noodleman.
Yeah. Wherever she goes, strife breaks out, and we just saw that she visited Montenegro as a part of her Balkan tour earlier this year.
By the way, and I said that. It's so funny because, and that's not.
Oh my God, you're incurable.
I'm on a roll. I watched the Montenegro thing.
Yeah.
And I just cracked up because we had just done the thing with Noodleman.
Yeah, we just say.
And I'm thinking, Adam's going to be maybe Adam won't see this.
I'm not going to gloat. I'm not going to gloat. But all you have to do is follow her. Now, she, of course, is married to Robert Kagan, one of the ultimate neocons with Bill Kristol and who else was in that? Wasn't Brennan in that group? Wolfowitz. All these. And these are the guys
that are warmongers.
The Project for New American Century. They're the ones that before 9/11 wrote in their PNAC document. What we really need is a new Pearl Harbor. Maybe if someone flew some planes into some buildings, things would change. So these are, I do not believe, friends of the Obama administration. I don't think they ever have been. He may have talked a little bit of a big game about them briefly, but we don't see much. We don't see.
They're independent. What's interesting to me is that they're independent actors in some funny play that they're in, and somehow Kerry has gotten into the State Department to help them.
Well, Kerry is dumb, and Kerry is a Yaley, so he's just taking orders, and he's very good at it. He'll go with sleep for out weeks just to follow out whoever is giving the orders, which probably he's dumb enough that he's radicalized in his own way. You can radicalize people. That's clear. You can make Kerry do dumb things, but also he really thrives when he thinks that he's, saving the world or whatever. And, I can speak French. So the president, and there were a lot of slip-ups. There's lots of truth wants to come out, a lot of things that I caught, and I'll have a couple other coming up.
Is this the president in the Philippines?
No, this is the president in Ankara.
Okay.
And I think it's entirely appropriate in a democracy to have a serious debate about these issues. Folks want to pop off and have opinions about what they think.
We don't
pop off.
Yeah, we don't say that's a porn term, Mr.
So he
President?
says pop. It's a derogatory term.
It's a porn term. Pop shot.
Now, pop off means well, there's that, but I don't think that's what he's referring to. He's referring to people who are the people who should shut up because all they're doing is popping off and expressing opinions that are unwanted.
He's mad. Then and let me add to John Kerry's Skull and Bones, which is the Bush Yale Club.
Right.
Little weenie boys all, peeing on each other. I don't know what they do. It's crazy. Crazy
so
fuckers.
You hear a lot of
crazy fuckers.
They do. So it's disgusting what they do.
But President Obama,
they don't do anything, which is probably what happens.
President Obama knows that these guys have power. They have power through the State Department. They have power in the military-industrial complex, and here's where he gives it away.
And I think it's entirely appropriate in a democracy to have a serious debate about these issues. Folks want to pop off and have opinions about what they think they would do. Present a specific plan.
Listen.
If they think that somehow their advisors are better than the chairman of my Joint Chiefs of Staff and the folks who are actually on the ground, I want to meet them.
See, he's talking about their advisors. This is a think tank war. It's a think tank war. When he's saying advisors, to the untrained ear, it sounds like he's saying, the Republicans suck. But to the trained no agenda ear, he's angry that there are other strategies in play from other advisors, which I can only see as the Kagan Noodlemans.
And the folks who are actually on the ground, I want to meet them. And we can have that debate. But what I'm not interested in doing is posing or pursuing some notion of American leadership or America winning or whatever other slogans they come up with.
He clearly needs some marketing help. America winning? Is Charlie Sheen advising him? I don't understand.
That has no relationship to what is actually going to work to protect the American people and to protect people in the region who are getting killed and to protect our allies and people like France.
There you go. So it's the other advisors. There is a real advisor war going on. Think tank wars. Now, as kind of predicted, this would be, we talked about it on Sunday. We're just waiting for this to turn into an Article 5 of NATO. France has made an interesting move.
Yes, I think the best rundown of it.
Oh, this is about the EU Article 42.7?
Yeah.
Okay, what you got?
Well, I got a bunch of things because this, to me, was what interested me the most over the last couple of days.
I agree.
And just as a, if anybody doesn't know what happened, the Russians have actually eschewed NATO.
Well, this after Thursday's show, you and I just talking briefly, doing the post production, and we something we probably should have discussed on the show, but it didn't come up. We said, well, what is Putin's strategy going to be? What's he going to do? And and I think he came out with a good one.
We felt that he had been cornered and flummoxed.
He couldn't stand up and say, everyone would call him an asshole.
He was put in the corner.
And the first thing he did is he says, you know what? You're right. It was ISIS who brought down that jet. It was ISIS. So he just,
still irks the Egyptians because they claim there's no proof.
Well, but this is about Putin's. And what did he put out a $50 million bounty or something on the head of anyone? Yeah,
I don't know about the bounty, but the longest. I've got a bunch of reports that discuss this, but let's run this one that's a little bit on the long side, but it's interesting. This because it's a gloating report from RT. And I think they do the best job of telling what happened. This is the quote. This is the clip called "The Real."
Is that a show? The Real?
Yeah.
Reports.
Vladimir Putin has vowed to find and to punish the terrorists, the Islamic State militants that were behind the bombing of that Russian passenger jet in Egypt. And mere hours after he made that promise, the Russian Air Force has revealed a dramatic escalation of its air operations in Syria, in scope, in size, and even in cooperation.
Yeah, without even seeing it, I know which video this is. Everybody had the same B-roll of the supersonic jet. Is that what was playing?
The supersonic bomber.
Yeah, the bomber. Everybody had the same video. It was like a press release went out and said, hey, look at what we're putting in.
B-roll. This is pretty exciting. And they had that, and they're dropping the bomb. That bomber, by the way, is gorgeous.
Oh, and is that the Su-35 now?
I don't know. No. 35, I think, is a fighter.
But they're also, the fighter. They're also coming out with the Su-35, which competes with the F-35. They were showing some pretty impressive hardware.
That bomber, and then they had that crazy, I don't know if it was a Bear bomber, with the propellers that go in opposite directions, and it drops just tons of bombs. I still think Trump is right. Let the Russians blow their wad on this.
Yeah, they seem to have the right hardware for sure.
Yeah, that bomber's good. I'll see what that bomber is.
Well, anyway. Let me see. Well, I have my military commercials coming up, so let's continue with that.
Vladimir Putin has revealed that a French naval battle group led by an aircraft carrier is coming to Syria's coast. It'll be stationed next to a Russian naval battle group already there. And Vladimir Putin ordered officers aboard those ships to welcome the French as allies. We also know that the Russian president and French leader have talked on the phone about coordinating their respective air operations over Syria. But the Russian Air Force has also increased its airstrikes. We know that they have ordered 25 strategic bombers to join airstrikes against the Islamic State. They're also talking about increasing the tempo of Russian airstrikes in Syria. We know those strategic bombers are flying out of southern Russia into Syria, carrying out airstrikes there in parallel with the Russian jets already stationed there at Khmeimim Air.
Is this guy on the jet? The sweetening of this package
it's outrageous.
In Latakia, perhaps we'll see more aircraft brought into Syria, stationed there. I spent 6 weeks at the airbase. There's plenty of room, though it's really very busy. Alternatively, we might see the Syrian government asked to provide another airbase for Russian jets.
The importance of cooperation between Russia and the U.S. in the fight against ISIS was stressed during the Global Security Forum 2015, hosted by the CSIS in Washington. Among the speakers were Director of the Central Intelligence Agency John Brennan and former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger.
Oh, yes.
While Washington and Moscow have significant policy differences on how best to bring the bloodshed in Syria to a close, I have had several conversations with one of my Russian counterparts over the past several weeks about ways to strengthen U.S.-Russian counterterrorism cooperation, specifically on the ISIL threat.
Yeah, I think Putin was so smart. You know what? I'm just going to make my own little group here, and if you don't want to join, then look, the French are all in.
And the French get to park that big carry. That thing's huge, by the way.
But with the French, for them,
right at the port there in Syria, we can't do that.
But the fact that the French are going, okay, shows that they're not our ally. They're not our ally. They're not. This is our oldest ally. No. If you look at it strictly from the optics of it, no. I mean, I have the little commercial with the data about Russia's forces that are coming down.
What Russia's done is pledged to ramp up anti-terror attacks since the plane crash in Egypt was confirmed to have been caused.
This is RT, obviously. It's a commercial.
By a terrorist bomb. Let's have a look at what Russia's already done. It carried out 127 sorties yesterday alone, with 206 targets hit. By comparison, on Tuesday, the US-led coalition performed 20 missions with 14 targets hit. That racks up as 4,100 strikes in 48 days by Moscow, as you can see, many times more than the US and France combined.
And it's set to intensify as well further with some real heavy-duty hardware.
There's the commercial.
Saw listed out yesterday,
It's not just about quantity. In this conflict, this is the first time Russia has used strategic bombers, including the Tu-160, a.k.a. the White Swan, world's largest...
I love that, the White Swan.
You back it up. I want to write that one down and look it up.
The White Swan.
Yeah, that's the beautiful one. The one I know they haven't brought out, I think it's called the J-20, which is the stealth bomber. Which is also cool looking, but I don't think they want to sell that one, so they're not showing it off.
The Russians are selling a whole boatload of the Su-35s to China. This is whenever there's war like this, or we can say it's war, it's great for sales.
First time Russia has used strategic bombers, including the Tu-160, a.k.a. the White Swan.
The Tu-160, a.k.a. the White Swan, bringing you death.
World's largest military fighter and the largest supersonic aircraft. It's a key part of Russia's nuclear triad, though it is not using its nuclear potential in this battle. Another advantage of strategic bombers is its range. It flies straight from a base in the North Caucasus to carry out attacks on terror positions in the provinces of Raqqa, Idlib and Aleppo.
And interestingly, these supersonic bomber jets have done something that we appear to have been incapable of for obvious reasons.
With oil revenue reckoned to provide the militants with more than $1 million a day, Russian bombers have targeted tankers and refinery facilities controlled by the extremists in Syria. This after the US-led coalition stepped up its bombing of ISIL's main oil-producing region. You can see hundreds of fuel tankers in columns, Russian military spokesman Andrei Katapolov told a briefing at the Defense Ministry. In recent days, the Air Force has destroyed 500 vehicles. This has significantly hampered the militants' ability to export fuel and hit their profits from oil smuggling.
I would say, Europe, be on the lookout for your petrol prices to rise. That's your oil that you're buying.
Here is I have a better report that kind of tops that, which is I finally figured out how to pronounce her name.
Oh, Holly Goana?
Gyan Chichikan. Or you can call her Cha-Cha, as far as I'm concerned.
Who is this?
That's the Russian reporter.
The hot one.
Always at the State Department.
Yeah, the hot one. Yeah.
And it's Gyan Chichikan.
Gyan Chichikan.
And
I'll never forget that.
She was, she did a thing. What happened was, Defense Department, DIA girl, or no. I have too many clips.
No, you don't. Yeah.
Tell me looking to find this. Or bomb threats anonymous reported. Ben and Judy bombing. The clip is bombing oil trucks. Here's the way she reports one of these incidents. Apparently, there's a big meeting of the G20.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, yeah.
Apparently,
yeah. I followed it.
The Russians, I guess, to embarrass us, said, "Look. Here's what we got to do. We got to stop the financing. They got to stop their money, flow." And then they put up a slide that showed this caravan of 100 trucks.
Yeah.
So now these trucks are just going crazy. They're just driving all the time, and nobody's doing anything about it.
But wait for it. Did you know that State Department, maybe it was the White House, announced that they had warned the drivers of the oil trucks that they were going to be bombed?
Yes, this was. I've never seen this confirmed anywhere. This is all the right-wing talk show hosts were bitching about this.
Oh, really? Okay.
They're saying, and before they bomb them, they drop a leaflet saying we're going to bomb them. Yes, but here's the way she reported it, because the day after this was presented at the G20, we bombed them.
Excellent.
The G20 summit, the Russian president showed world leaders aerial images of what he said was a convoy of ISIL trucks full of oil and petroleum products, stretching dozens of kilometers. On the same day, U.S. officials told the New York Times that for the first time, the U.S. attacked hundreds of trucks that ISIL had been using to smuggle the crude oil it produces in Syria. This could be the same trucks. We don't know. But U.S. officials told the New York Times that they've hit them for the first time. I went to the State Department to ask this. Why for the first time? Why hasn't the U.S. hit them before?
Again, that's an operational detail that I would just refer you to the...
Is that Kirby?
No, it's a worse douchebag than Kirby.
I know that douchebag.
Department of Defense.
So aside from hitting the trucks, which you cannot confirm, what has the U.S. done to date to curb ISIL funding?
Well, again, it's a particular line of effort for the anti-ISIL coalition is how to cut off financing for ISIL. One of those is, again, going after their infrastructure, and we have been hitting. I don't have numbers of airstrikes and statistics in front of me to give you that.
Has the U.S. sanctioned any banks, any Iraqi banks suspected of carrying out transactions for ISIL?
Any Iraqi banks? Have we sanctioned any Iraqi banks?
Any banks.
Or any banks. I'd have to look into that. I don't have the answer.
So I received no answer to the question why the U.S. began to bomb ISIL's oil trucks only now. What stopped the U.S. from doing that before? ISIL has been engaged in this illegal oil trade for a while now.
Hey, man, do not mess with the product.
Last month, the Financial Times looked into ISIL's oil trade and wrote this. The importance of ISIL oil to those living in rebel-held areas of Syria is one reason why the U.S.-led coalition has been reluctant to target the group's trade routes. The coalition says it is wary of alienating local populations by bombing fuel now critical for their daily lives. This was reported last month. Could it be the reason why the coalition has not properly targeted ISIL's oil trade before? What has changed, if anything? I tried to get details from the State Department about what exactly the U.S. is doing to crack down on ISIL financing, or rather what the U.S. has done, but did not get much, as you could tell from our exchange.
Now
how does that tie into Article 42.7?
Well, that one doesn't, obviously.
Okay.
None of it does, except that Hollande, before he teamed up with the Russians, called on Article 42.7. I do have one clip.
Well, hold on. He did two things. First, he invoked something in the French Constitution, which allows him to extend a state of emergency past 12 days.
Right.
And that was seen, and if you, of course, I'm not good at parsing French. If you look at the translations, it's kind of a murky thing. It's kind of like a poison pill, just kind of hidden away there and stuck in. If we ever need to, then. And he gets all kinds of extra powers, and I don't see the French protesting that, of course. So the United States wouldn't protest it either. I'm just as stupid as every other slave. Let me see. The article, invoking Article 42.7, a never-used clause of the EU treaty, triggers mutual defense among the 28 member states. The Netherlands is looking for the bullet as we speak. Paris admitted it was struggling to cope with its foreign military commitments while beefing up security, and so they asked the rest of Europe to come to its assistance. And this Article 42.7 stipulates, quote, if a member state is the victim of armed aggression on its territory, the other member states shall have towards it an obligation of aid and assistance by all the means in their power in accordance with Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. And so this flows, in a tricky legal way, it flows down to Article 5, which is attack against one is an attack against all. And I believe this is going to happen. And you can make that up from Dianne Feinstein, a fine Democrat who is pushing a little bit against the president.
I've never been more concerned. I read the intelligence faithfully. I ISIL is not contained. ISIL is expanding. They've just put out a video saying it is their intent to attack this country. And I think we have to be prepared. I think hopefully France will go for a Chapter 5, which will bring NATO into it. Hopefully we will work with our allies to put together the kind of coalitions and attack plans in more than one place at a given time. There's only one way we're going to diminish them, and that is by taking them out, because they are growing. They are in more than a dozen countries now. They are sophisticated. They have apps to communicate on.
Oh my God, John, they have apps. Oh, we're all going to die. They have apps.
Cannot be pierced even with a court order. So they have a kind of secret way of being able to conduct operations and operational planning. So we should take this very, very seriously. And her head is gone.
Bomb them, them, and bomb them again.
This is what didn't happen. In fact, I'm going to play something from Monday when they had on the NewsHour. This clip.
Do you mind if I insert 33 seconds of flub?
The Feinstein flub?
Yeah, Feinstein flub.
Oh, yeah, please.
They are on a march, and it's important to recognize this and prepare to deal with it with action. And candidly, I don't think bombing runs alone, we've done about 8,000 now, can really make a difference. So we're going to have to look at some new themes.
Ooh, did she say teams instead of themes? Ooh.
That's a good one. Keep that.
We're going to have to look at some new themes.
They got teams ready, John. Something's going down, and she knows.
She's right.
She knows.
So early, but they're getting screwed by. I think Putin's still outplaying them. And let's play what we heard on the NewsHour PBS. This is the clip called Defense Department DIA. This is a supposed retired DIA woman. I don't have her name right now, but she looks like one of those women, female spy types. She's probably in the DIA.
Oh, so she's hot? Is she hot?
She's got that weird
hot spy look,
spooky look, but it's not. She's. I don't know how hot she's. You're too distracted by her 5-foot alien eyeballs. They're huge.
Oh, we need to find out who this is.
They're bigger than anybody's eyeballs I've ever seen.
Is she tall? Is she blonde? Is she a tall blonde? Do you think she's a gray?
A redhead.
No soul. She's a gray.
Well, she's got big eyes. So let's listen to what she says. And this was on, I believe, on Monday on the NewsHour before all this Russia stuff really came down.
And government to create a united front to fight ISIS, there might be movement there. I think what Russia would like is to move the U.S. and European positions closer to themselves and break them off from Turkey and Saudi Arabia, which are still, if you want to call it, are holding to their line that, this is about Assad. Assad must go before we do anything else.
But at what price? This is not the only disagreement that the U.S. and Russia have.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think he's also trying to very cleverly create a divide between us and our European allies, and that gets to the whole context that's not even being addressed here, which is what's happening in Europe and Ukraine, Russia relations, etc. So I think that he's very cleverly, he used the word treat them as allies to his military folks when he was instructing them about engaging with the French Navy. Treat them as allies. Well, the French actually have allies. They're part of a 28-member alliance called NATO. They're part of the EU. Russia's not their ally. I think that's a little bit of an exuberant sort of exaggeration to call the Russian allies.
So here we have, this is what we're thinking in Washington. Oh, yeah. So that's why I think Putin's outplaying him. Now, I want to play two clips from the Deutsche Welle show. One is the report about the intro to France and Russia joins forces, a short clip, and then as it goes on and on and on, then I want to follow that up with Deutsche Welle asks, why not NATO?
Okay.
Well, France is continuing to move swiftly against IS, both at home and abroad. President Francois Hollande held talks on joint military cooperation with Russia in Syria. And Russian President Vladimir Putin has confirmed that the missile cruiser Moskva will start joint operations with the French carrier task force, quote, as allies. France will also be getting military backing from its EU allies. We'll have more live from Brussels after this report.
Okay.
All right. And then we had a report on some, chasing these guys around. And so then they came up, the direct question was asked to one of their correspondents or one of those knowledge-based guys, consultant, I'm not sure. But here he is talking about why not NATO? Because that woman was talking about NATO. We were expecting NATO. I think the French saw this coming. They say, wait, these NATO guys have screwed up everything. They've screwed up Libya.
It's the NATO guys who did the attack in Paris.
Yeah, come on, guys. We don't want them.
No, they suck.
Why isn't France turning to NATO on this?
I think that is quite a clever move on the French part. They already know that when it comes to the U.S. is already a very close ally, so they don't need NATO for that. And leaving NATO out of the equation has two advantages. They can avoid to potentially endanger multilateral peace talks, which are currently ongoing to find a political solution to the Syrian conflict in Vienna, with countries such as Iran and Russia on the negotiating table. And of course, if we now look at the close military cooperation with Russia, NATO involving NATO could also create a problem, and it could potentially endanger that new French-Russian alliance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just that simple.
The French, man, they're turning on us. They're turncoats.
NATO, you're out. No, they're turning on NATO.
I say we're back to freedom fries.
Well, I don't think we can play it that way.
No, we can, but we should.
It's too late because they've gotten the sympathy vote from the bombing.
Yeah.
And none of the people, the public at large, and I don't think the newscasters realize what a fine play this was in the first place. They're probably, and I think after all these years of conflict in Syria that have gotten nowhere, and then the formation of these band of idiots by us possibly, and with lots of evidence to support that, has been is sicking the public. They don't care, and Trump going out there yelling about how the Russians should take over this fight anyway. We don't need to be in charge of everything.
And there's something else interesting. The EU has gone full force and published a firearm ban proposal. Remember, we have the Russians now showing their hot new, what was it called? The white cloud? The white
swan.
The white swan here to kill
beauty,
you.
By the way, I've got a picture of it.
Is. The white swan. And then they're trying to put legislation into effect that would outright ban the sale of Kalashnikovs. So there's some F Russia in this as well. And that's why they keep saying Kalashnikov, Kalashnikov, Kalashnikov.
And most Kalashnikovs built or that are floating around are 74s. They're not 47s. I thought it's an arcane gun.
But I
have a musket.
That's my point, though. Is there's it's a great opportunity to discredit other people's weaponry and a great opportunity to tout new weaponry, which we have not done. We don't have anything.
No, because we got stuck in that stupid
F-35.
That thing's a piece of crap, and everybody knows it.
The flying turkey.
The flying turkey. Not the flying swan.
Yeah.
White swan.
The white swan versus you could just see the cartoon. White swan to the rescue. Like chitty chitty bang bang. Our 35 is hobbling through the air. Oh, man. I do want to follow up with maybe just a few quickies before we thank people, some press responses and stuff, and some interesting little things that popped out.
Yes.
Well, you can say no if you want to do it after, but
I don't care actually.
Okay. Then let us start first. Well, of course, the president is under attack. Chris Christie. His strategy seems to be to piss all over the president. Because that guy, Chris Christie, man, that guy's a warmonger.
Oh, he's second only to Carly.
Yeah.
And Carly is outrageous.
He's printing up yellow stars in his basement.
They want to get us all killed, these people.
He's printing up yellow stars in his basement as we speak. This guy is not okay.
He lives in a fantasy world, Martha. He sees the world as he wishes it were, rather than the way it is. This is the same guy who Thursday said, that ISIS was contained. And then Friday we had the attacks in Paris. We've also had attacks in Lebanon. ISIS is not contained. ISIS is not a regional threat. ISIS is now a global threat. And we need to do things like not do what the president did and members of Congress to take away intelligence capability. Part of what happened in Paris is an intelligence failure, that these folks were plotting and planning, obviously, for some time in a very intricate plan, and we didn't pick it up. No one picked it up.
Intricate.
And this is the president who took tools away from the NSA, has taken tools away from the CIA.
Bring him back!
The CIA director said yesterday that ISIS has grown exponentially since Barack Obama's been president.
All right. So
I'm a mathematician.
Let's go listen to John Brennan, director of CIA.
Should we regard this type of attack as a one-off event, or do we have to contemplate the terrible possibility that this could indeed be a new normal?
I certainly would not consider it a one-off event. But I do think it's inevitable that ISIL and other terrorist groups are going to continue to try and to attempt to carry out these attacks. That is an inevitability for at least as far as the eye can see. But to me, it's not inevitable that they're going to succeed.
That is inevitable as far as the eye can see.
I like those mixed metaphors.
It's confusing, and I think purposely so. On Fox...
By the way, while you were playing that clip, although we don't have it handy, I'm going to dig this clip up, which is the one where when Feinstein was the head of the spy committee in the Senate, and she asked all these top shots. This was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Will there be an attack on the homeland within the next 6 months? And every single one of the experts, Joint Chief of Staffs, the head of the CIA, everybody. Yeah, oh yeah, sure, there will be. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Now, we've played this clip several times, and I think it's because of the naming of it that we have problems finding it again.
It should be named Feinstein something. If it probably misspelled Feinstein. That's the key.
Right.
You need one of those spell things that help,
so maybe if I just do fine, let me see if I do fine. I'm looking, would it be in, how far back? 5 years, you say?
It's getting pretty old. I'm guessing 5 years. It's one of our oldest clips.
Maybe it's this. Let me see.
What is the likelihood
there it is.
Of another terrorist attempted attack?
And this is from, I'll tell you, it's from 2009.
Okay, so it's 5 years.
Yeah.
On the U.S. homeland in the next 3 to 6 months. High or low? Director Blair?
An attempted attack, the priority is certain, I would say.
Mr. Panetta?
I would agree with that.
Mr. Mueller?
Agree.
General Burgess?
Yes, ma'am. Agree.
Mr. Dinger?
And? Oh, no. It didn't happen. Damn.
6 years later, we're still waiting.
We're still waiting for the 3 months. Elizabeth Hasselbeck from Fox. Is she a football wife?
Job.
Yeah.
Funny.
I liked what she did, and she got the other douche, Josh Earnest, who was looking ragged. 5 o'clock shadow, droopy eyes, like the guy hadn't seen his bed in 36 hours. And
that's right, because he hasn't.
And he pretty much lost it. He just lost it, which shows you how clueless the administration is.
Josh, let me ask you this. Following this initial attack in Paris, where 129 people were brutally killed, the President of the United States referred to this as something that was a, quote, setback. Secretary John Kerry then, in trying to draw a line of comparison between the Charlie Hebdo attacks and these recent Paris attacks, said that those attacks at Charlie Hebdo were, quote, understandable. Do you understand at this point how the verbiage needs to change a bit? Because
now, you know what she's talking about here? It was all over the news. I'm sure you saw it.
Yes.
They played Kerry the day before the attacks. And then the day after the attacks, they say, well, Charlie Hebdo, they had a reason. It was okay for that.
There was a good reason for the Charlie Hebdo attack.
Good reason. It was cartoons. A good reason.
Makes sense. That attack makes sense.
I'm calling John Kerry out on being responsible for that one now, because he's all in. What a horrible man.
Everyone in this world right now sees them as aloof, apathetic, and quite cavalier about these lives being lost at the hand of ISIS. Would you go back and ask for that language to be changed at this point to reflect some sort of solidarity an intentional aggression.
Now, this, of course, is completely unnecessary, but I like that she's poking him with this.
Against ISIS? I mean, to call this...
She's going to be banned.
Oh, whoa. Wait for it.
Understandable as it relates to Charlie Hebdo. To call this just a setback seems awful, at least to the American people.
Well, Elizabeth, I think what I'd ask the American people to do is to go look at the transcript of the president's remarks where he described the situation as safe.
And I think he's on coke. Hold on, let's roll that back. Holy crap. He hasn't slept and he's on coke.
He hasn't slept, that would be, or probably Adderall.
Coke.
The transcript of the president's remarks where he described the situation as sickening, where he expressed his profound sorrow at what exactly had occurred. And I think what I would encourage you to do is to spend just as much time focusing on the president's actions as you do his words.
His words matter, Josh. I have to stop you there. Josh, I will stop you there. The president of the United States words matter.
If you want to have me on your show, Elizabeth,
I will focus on my president's words,
Josh. To talk about a serious issue, then give me an opportunity to answer the question.
I think you're right. I think it's an Adderall rage.
I would love for you to answer it,
but the question by telling you that you should consider. Elizabeth, if you want to have me on the show to talk about something serious as our national security, you can ask me a question and I will answer it.
I will answer it. Now stop doing that. It's not fair. It's my turn to talk. Don't hurt my feelings.
Josh, we've played fair before. I'm letting you know that our president's words matter, not just to me, not just to the American people, but to those around the globe.
Stop.
Yeah.
This wasn't a white.
Whoa. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I lost you for a second. This wasn't what?
This wasn't a White House press briefing. This was a TV show?
Yeah, this is a TV show, and he was on the White House lawn.
Oh, okay. So they just brought him in. He thought it was going to be a no-brainer. And
I don't know if he thought that, but he does
what
not.
What show was this that she's on?
I don't know. But
it's this is Fox, right?
It's the where she sits in the middle with her legs show.
I thought that was somebody else, but okay.
No, it's Elizabeth. He says Elizabeth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
No,
the guy was out of context.
He only does this when something is bad because he likes his podium. You know, that's where his power is. He has no power, and he looked like crap.
To me, not just to the American people, but to those around the globe who are very concerned right now. Our president's words matter. He called this a setback. Why?
Yes, they do. Meanwhile, the president, and I'm sure this was a flub and an accident. He didn't mean to say this, but it makes him look so dumb.
Possibility of terrorist attacks on our soil. There was the Boston Marathon bombers. Obviously, it did not result in the scale of death that we saw in Paris, but that was a serious attempt at killing a lot of people by two brothers and a crock pot.
Crock pot?
Good one. Where'd you get that?
From the 80-meter band. What an idiot. That is dumb. From a crock pot.
That's very funny.
From a crock pot. Okay.
Okay. I think that's enough.
No. We have one last meme. We have, I keep forgetting it, the white widow, the white angel?
The white swan.
The white swan. Yes, the white swan and...
Suicide vests were loaded with triacetone triperoxide, or TATP. It's a homemade explosive with a sinister nickname. Mother of Satan.
Done. Who came up with that? The mother of Satan. Mother of Satan in the white swan.
A name coined by terrorists because it's sensitive to heat, volatile, and can potentially cause extreme damage. Experts say it's also cheap, with ingredients that are easy to come by.
Oh, man, we're back to the acetone.
Here we go again.
Yeah, it's just nuts. Well, I think with that, for the time being, I can thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C., where the C stands for Content Trigger Warnings, Dvorak.
And in the morning to you, Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships at sea, boots on the ground, subs in the water, and all the dames and nights out there.
In the morning, everybody in the chat room, noagendastream.com. In the morning to Nick the Rat. Thank you, Nick, for giving us the artwork for episode 774, Morally Deformed. And this was nice. This was the Cry Bullies with a little playpen with a safe space, and I heard that Facebook has been deleting people's posts or imagery that includes the word cry bully.
What?
Yeah, and I can't prove it. This is what I've seen on the No Agenda group on there on Facebook. The Cry Bully is being deleted.
Didn't we just, or somebody in the producer or us or somebody just make that up like a week ago? Or has that been going around?
I don't know.
It must have been going around. Well, let's take a look. Let's do a little search.
Cry Bully. Maybe.
But why would it, how's that offensive in any way?
Well, you're hurting their feelings. You can't hurt their feelings. That's not good.
No, I mean, Cry Bully.
Well, why don't we thank some people? Why don't we thank some people and then we
videos of Cry Bully? Are we too quick? Oh no! Here's why. It refers to calling someone a bully.
Oh, so that's against.
You cry. You're not a cry bully in the sense that you're.
You're crying because you're bullied.
You're crying. It's like. Here's one of the titles from CNN.com. Are we too quick to cry bully?
Oh, so it's automatic parsing, probably.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That would make sense.
Got it.
So I can see him pulling it.
Yeah. Okay.
We do have some people to thank for show 775, starting with Sir Shannon Yario in Perth, who came in with $1,000.09.
Whew. Hello.
That's what I say. He says, Sir Shannon Yario chiming in with my yearly anti-boner donation.
Excellent.
Please keep up the amazing work you do until they outlaw you guys, which could happen. And also, I humbly request a Gitmo Nation national anthem. We'll put that at the end.
Yeah, sure.
With some general good luck karma for all of us. Love you guys. Sir Shannon Yario, anthem-loving knight from the Perth, Western Australia region. P.S. The 9 pennies are so you don't have to use your own.
Okay, it's like give a penny, take a penny.
Yeah, he's given 9, so we had 9.99.
You've got karma.
Outstanding, Sir Shannon Yario. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a great donation.
Next is with no note, and I asked him for a note. He's in Würzburg, Deutschland. And this is Sir Adam, the Baron of Poland. Also, Adam Kowalewski.
Yeah.
And I believe he's got, let me make sure. Is there a note on here on this spreadsheet? Doesn't come up on mine.
What are you looking for?
His note.
I don't see a note.
Right. I sent him a note to email asking him if he wants to say anything. Last time he didn't really want to say anything either.
Well, he's probably just happy with the reporting that we're doing on the migrant crisis in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a clip coming up about Poland and the migrants.
Anyway, he's in with 777. He'll be a double producer. He'll be also a producer on show 777.
And why don't we give him a karma? Because with that kind of donation, you deserve it.
You've got karma.
Thank you. Danke.
Sir Donald de Grazia.
Excuse me.
Danke. Sir Donald de Grazia in Bloomfield, Michigan, 777. We got a second one. That's good. He says, let me click on this. 77 will only come once. You can't miss it. 777 is a mole of karma, or a mole of karma. Dvorak should get that. I think he means mole, chemical. Mole. It's a measurement. Side note, sounds like Dvorak is liking Trump more than Adam lately. I'm liking his quotes.
Yeah. This is our. I think this is our doctor. Yeah, isn't this our doctor?
I don't know if he's our doctor. He's our Sir de Grazia.
I think isn't he our brain scientist?
He's the Knight of Darkness in Detroit.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's not black. He says smiley face means you could be.
No, I think we called him out as black.
Oh, Mo.
Hey, man, you're black. What are you doing donating?
Mo Hose in Maryland.
No, MD 2020.
I don't know.
Hello for drinking references. So much for your ghetto speak, John. Hose and MD 2020.
I'm not trying to.
It's been on our night list.
I'm not trying to be something I'm not, Adam.
It's been on our night list for years. Up there with crickets and cream.
Sir David Julian in Morgan Hill, California, $500, which is a good amount. If you thought to yourself, wow, they nailed it with that analysis, which was our last show, you owe it to this show to continue to keep it alive. Please donate to the No Agenda show. Nobody wants to hear Adams resorting to eating ramen and Elpo in the streamline of consciousness. And if they're off base, send in $50 with a comment, set them on the right path.
Now, this is a producer understands.
Kisses, Sir Julian.
Thank you.
Yes,
Kisses back, Sir Julian. Thank you.
Yeah, see, let me grab these notes. Sir Julian gets it.
He does.
And you should all pay attention to what he has to say. Christopher Dolan in Brookline, Massachusetts, comes in with 330. And I have to, if my cursor would show up, I could scroll over to what I'm looking for. Where are you, cursor? You hit the control key. It's supposed to show up in a. Well, that's funny. It doesn't. Okay,
well, it is.
Last show's coverage on the Paris attacks and Democrat debates was outstanding.
Thank you.
Yes. Keep up the good work, and thank you for the best podcast in the universe. And that was worth $333. And we appreciate that. Amanda Rossett in Rockville, Connecticut, $201.01. And she sent in a card with a check. And the card is got a bunch of crazy. The card thing is Ativan, turkey, Vicodin gravy, Valium, mashed potatoes, oxycodone, corn, Wellbutrin, rolls, Paxil, stuffed vodka, cranberry. Anyway, it's just some drug references and alcohol references all over the front and turkey references. Can you believe this freaking card, she writes. If the current trend in holiday cards isn't a sign of our need to support the best podcast in the universe, I don't know what is.
That's funny.
I would love to hear the 3x3 jingle before I receive my helping of karma. And she draws a heart and says Amanda. At Thanksgiving, it's all about survival. That was the punchline.
And we'll give her a karma as well. The 3x3 jingle.
Yeah, she wants
Now it's time for 3x3. Experiment by JCD. Comparing stories from ABC, CBS, and NBC. The never-ending 3x3.
You've got karma.
Outstanding.
And then last on the list, last but not least, is Sir 10 CFR 50 Appendix B.
Yeah, we know what that is. That's quality assurance criteria for nuclear power plants and fuel reprocessing plants.
Yeah, Stu is his name. ITM, gents, I figured this would be a good time to take another step towards a seat at the round table that is a little closer to the fire. In other words, he wants to upgrade.
Okay.
Button and Mead, what title is next in line after night? That's Baronet.
Baronet, yep.
You can go to Dvorak.org/peerage.
Yes.
The short sale house buying karma I requested in my last donation letter had an unexpected impact.
Uh-oh.
Instead of the bank finally coming to a decision about my offer, I got fed up and started looking for... I got fed up. I'm sorry.
Fed up.
I got fed up and started looking for a different property. I am now expecting to close escrow on a nice house with 16 acres.
Whoa.
West of Salem, Oregon, before Christmas. Looks like I will need to add hay farmer to my LinkedIn profile.
How about RV park? Yes.
Put a few pads up. You got it made.
Some pads, a blinking light.
Yeah, that's all it did. We kind of about to burn out.
A red
the old neon. Get it from another park. Also, the No Agenda map will need to be updated for 2016. I've been wondering about the poll results being reported about the Donald and others for that matter. Why don't the poll results include independents as well? I suspect the pool of voters registered as independents is of similar size at Democrats or Republicans. I suspect it's due to the fact that many primaries only allow for those registered.
Yep.
That's not necessarily true. When you go to the poll, if you're registered independent, sometimes you can vote in Democrat or Republican primaries. California allows you to vote in the Democrat primary, but not the Republican. How about the following jingles? Hillary cackle. What difference does it make? 2 to the head, and then maybe reopen the Vince Foster investigation karma.
What is it? What is it? What? Cackle. What difference does it make?
2 to the head.
2 to the head, and then what was the last one?
Well, the last one refers to the type of karma, which was reopen the Vince.
Oh, okay.
Vince.
We can.
Yeah, I really, really dislike that bitch. Oops, hurtful speech. My bad. By the way, my bad should be on this list too.
Yes, it should.
What difference at this point does it make?
You've got karma.
Before you move on, this just came in this morning. There are 35 new pages of emails, which I love that mixing of metaphors there as well. Pages of emails from Hillary Clinton. And there's an exchange between Monica Harley and Huma Abedin. We all know the Huma. And here it is. Huma's, this is Hillary's lover, as far as we know. Huma says, have you been going over calls with her for tomorrow? She knows Singh is at 8, Singh, S-I-N-G-H. And then Monica Harley says, she was in bed for a nap by the time I heard that she had an 8 a.m. call. We'll go over with her. And then Huma replies, very important to do that. She's often confused. That is not good.
What do you expect?
Did you hear about the
well, before we go that far, let me just remind people that we do have another show coming up on Sunday. We're going to go to Dvorak.org/NA and help us out to continue our kind of finish off the year with some nice donations from some fantastic people.
Yes, and I also have a PR mention, brand new, the No Agenda Jingle app, just been released on the iOS App Store only. Link in the show notes under PR, and a portion of the proceeds will go to support the best podcast in the universe. It's pretty good. That's the one that had jingles on it I hadn't even heard before. So I don't know how they do that, but it's magic. It's pretty good. So these credits, of course, are our executive producers and our associate executive producers. Just like in Hollywood, we credit them up front as soon as possible in the program, because they really do make it happen. And we'll be thanking our donors $50 and over in the thank you segment. But I do want to say, please, please, please respect these people for what they're doing. It's great. They really are helping the show.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Of course, you can always help out the show yourself by going out there and propagating the formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Hey, citizens.
Shut up, slave.
Amen. Fist bump.
The Laugh Factory in, is that Los Angeles, Hollywood? The Laugh Factory?
Yeah.
So the Laugh Factory had put out a video with a number of bits.
Great.
From comedians. Yeah, and it's about 3 or 4 minutes. It took 45 seconds just so you can hear. And the Hillary campaign has been threatening the owner of the Laugh Factory and say, who are the comedians? We want their phone numbers. You got to take that out. You can't show that. And what is the gross offense? Well, it's primarily about Hillary's sexuality.
That woman should be president in the United States because she knows what it's like to like men and love women.
You know what I would love, Hillary? I was thinking about it, and I would love if you become president, then you divorce Bill, and then you marry a bitch. Oh, shit. That would fuck the world up in their head. That would be like, is this an episode of Tyler Perry's If Loving You Is Wrong? What is happening in the tabloids? Oh my, it would be so turned up. It would be crazy.
Hello, Hillary. You look great. There's nothing like a skirt suit with shoulder pads to say I'm all woman. It's the kind of outfit that you see, who wore it better, Caitlyn Jenner or Hillary Clinton?
They're all upset about it.
Yes, I heard this.
Yeah, so hilarious, obviously. Hilarious.
And here's an interesting point. The right-wing talk show guys, and I do listen. I went to an event in Santa Clara, a trade show yesterday.
What kind of trade show?
It's IDK. It's something that it involves flexible circuitry. It's a real, what I call a real trade show where it's just people in the industry. There's very few press, and they serve food to the whole place. Anyone who shows up, the whole place. So everyone gets lunch.
Oh, okay. So Gum was there?
No,
just kidding. Just kidding.
So you're terrible.
I tried.
But they had some cool stuff there. They had like this these little things, just like just a folding. Oh, they had a phone that a cell phone that wrapped around your wrist and was also like a body thing.
Oh, nice.
That's the whole phone.
You mean the stuff we thought Apple would come out with as the watch?
Yeah,
it'd be something
cool
like that. Really cool.
You think Apple would come out? No,
right.
This was all here. And so on the way down, I listened to right-wing talk shows and sports talk sometimes, but mostly right-wing talk shows because they were transitioning from one guy to another. And everyone was moaning about this event that you just discussed, but never mentioned the content.
Huh.
In other words, they said, oh, Hillary's out to get comedians who are making fun of her. And they're trying to shut her down. They shut down the comedians. They want to get their home address.
Quite the opposite. They're trying to pull her out. They're not shutting her down. And
they're not trying to shut down Hillary. They're trying to shut down the comics.
Oh, I know. But I'm just saying that the comics are trying to get Hillary out.
Yes.
They're all for it. Like, just announce it.
But what I'm saying is that they discussed the
without playing the video
elements, but never mentioned the lesbian.
No, of course not. No, because they haven't.
Right-wingers,
you know why? No, they haven't even seen it, John. No one does the work anymore. They just look at headlines, they look at BuzzFeed, and they start the show and have people call in. There's no work going into it. There's no sitting in front of the television for hours watching C-SPAN. There's no 3x3.
That is the Occam's razor explanation.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. They weren't suppressing anything.
I was thinking about this morning. I was tired. I got a little bit of headache. Nothing bad. I was thinking about all the guys I know who are in radio who went from being DJs, doing everything yourself. Now they have 2 producers. And, they walk in, their headphones are all polished and warmed up, pre-warmed.
Pre-warmed with some guys.
The mixer is all set up. And so they're not... These people are no longer... They're too rich also. It's just way too much money. Rush Limbaugh, way too much money. These guys got too much money. If they just, so they read the headlines their producer gives them. Say, oh, it's a great... And they know what to say.
Well, actually, he has a staff.
Yeah, of course they do.
With an editor-in-chief.
Did you hear anyone play any of Nigel Farage's comments on Paris?
I have. I'm going to make this clear. You don't have to ask that question anymore. I know you ask these rhetorical questions just for impact. I would never do anything like that. But if you don't get that joke, you don't get anything.
Yeah, I do.
I've never heard anybody anywhere ever play either Nigel Farage or the Pastor Manning. Ever. Anyone. We're the only people that do that. It's baffling.
Well, sometimes
it's fantastic.
Farage is sometimes on with Chris Cavuto, I think, or something like that. I've seen him there. But he did a 45-minute speech.
It's not Chris. It's
Neil.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris. He's now Chris. Sorry,
Chris
Neil. Sorry,
Cavuto.
Neil. You're now Chris Cavuto.
Yeah.
He did a 45-minute speech in front of his party, and I just pulled out a small clip, which shows that this is one of the evil, horrible, xenophobic, asshole right-wingers in Europe, according to Christiana Amanpour, the sold-out reporter.
There is a tremendous conflict. There is a split of loyalties. That on the one hand, people want to get on and want to be happy and want to get on with their neighbours and want their kids to play with each other. But on the other, they're being told things. They're being told things via the internet. But they're being told things in some of our mosques that directly conflict with the way that most normal people would want to live. And I have to say that in many ways, our perpetual neocon approach, where we go on trying to get rid of leaders of Arab and North African countries and think bombing is the answer to everything, in many ways we've made it easy for some of these people. But we have to attempt to stop this constant dripping of poison in the ears of young British Muslims. And we have every reason to believe that the main source of this problem is coming from money. Money that is pouring into our universities, money that is pouring into our mosques, and it's coming from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is funding this extreme ideology.
Well, you don't hear anyone play that, do you?
No.
I'd say that's right on the money.
And it is right on the money. Most of the mosques that are being built today are being funded by the Saudis with their Wahhabist approach.
I made a terrible...
And half the mosques in the United States are built by the Saudis.
I made a terrible mistake. Uh-oh. So I just said I had a headache, and during the Nigel clip, I ran quick to the kitchen to grab some aspirin.
Yeah.
Actually, some Advil. Here's my mistake. I just took 2 Tylenol PMs, or Advil PMs.
Oh, you're going to be knocked out in about an hour.
I'm going to fall over.
Go get some coffee.
What?
This is going to be a great ending, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's see what happens. Oops. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, well, I'm not going to purge them.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not
going to do that. I'll just have to.
He's going to take an early afternoon nap.
The best podcast in the universe.
You know, the stuff in these kind of over-the-counter is you can fight it.
Well, I'm going to have to. I'm on a mission. Hey, so a lot of people losing their crap over what Ben Rhodes said of he's the deputy national security advisor for the Obama administration. Uh-huh. And Ben Rhodes, he's a writer. He's been around. He's a douche. Typical. And this is it's very interesting how we have the migrant issue in the EU. And of course, we've had all these, planted evidence of passports and, it's the migrants coming. It was people using the crisis to hopefully solve some kind of problem. And we will need to discuss what's happening because Europe is closing its border. Europe is falling apart. And borders is a very important thing when it comes to a unification. But this is what Ben Rhodes said regarding Assyrian immigrants coming into the United States. You heard a lot about this. 33 governors. I mean, could it be any crazier with a magic number? Saying they don't want them in their states. But it was all based really on this quick statement from Ben Rhodes.
Does the president now have any pause about bringing Syrian refugees into the United States?
No, Chuck, we have very extensive screening procedures for all Syrian refugees who would come to the United States. There's a very careful vetting process that includes our intelligence community, our National Counterterrorism Center, the Department of Homeland Security, so we can make sure that we're carefully screening anybody who comes to the United States. Let's remember, though, Chuck, we're also dealing with people who've suffered the horrors of war, women and children, orphans. We can't just shut our doors to those people. We need to sort out how to focus on the terrorists that we need to keep out of the country. But I think we do need to do our part to take those refugees who are in need.
And here's another piece.
Does the president now have any pause about...
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the same one. Then we had a hearing.
The women or widows and children and orphans.
Orphans, 3-year-old orphans. That
seems to be the big thing going on.
Disgusting politicization of...
When in fact it's mostly guys. I mean...
Young guys, yeah.
Yeah, young men. So what... I understand the idea of the meme to get sympathy, but if anyone thinks about it deeply, you bring in women and children and orphans. All you're doing, none of them are ever going to work for 20 years.
Attorney General,
just going to be a burden on the welfare state. You want men, so there's somebody. You want families.
Yeah, but that of course is not what's being said. It's we're going to bring terrorists and they're going to blow us up.
Well, no, there's that. Yeah.
So Ben Rhodes says no problem. We have perfect vetting. We know how to do this. And then Attorney General Loretta Lynch. I like Lynn better. She sang this little ditty.
Certainly, with respect.
This is up on the Hill. Where she was being questioned about this very topic.
Certainly, with respect to the information coming into our databases from Syria, as the director has noted, it does present challenges to law enforcement. However, that does not mean we will stop trying to obtain data and utilize that screening system, and I certainly want to convey our commitment to doing that. But certainly, as the director has indicated, there are challenges to a system based upon the amount and type of data that one can obtain.
In other words, Ben Rhodes is full of crap. I'm not sure why they're not synchronized. I'm sure Lynch...
Oh, it was worse if you had the Comey clip.
I didn't find him. Did you have it? I didn't find it.
No, I did. I heard it on the radio. It's but Comey, I heard it. Comey said they apparently was grilled about this in some other venue, and he said, there's no way. I mean, there's no data. You can only look into what their data is available. There's nothing. We got nothing on any of these people. These are all people that nameless, faceless. We'll never know. Can they be vetted? No, they can't be vetted. No, it's impossible. I'm pretty sure that Lynch was following up on what Comey said. She even said the director. So then we have our favorite, Congressman Peter King. And he doesn't agree that it's all cool to bring them in.
Are you saying the president should suspend the idea of bringing in 10,000 refugees from Syria?
He should absolutely suspend it unless they can show 100% that a person is not involved with ISIS. Because right now there is no responsible way to do the vetting, and that's the reality. And why people like Ben Rhodes continue to say this is beyond me. To me, it's as misguided as the president saying is that he's contained ISIS. This is a failure of leadership. And until we get leadership, we're not going to get Arab states standing behind us, and we're not going to have confidence from other allies around the world. And the president, from the day he started this, his war against ISIS 14, 15 months ago, it's been apologetic. He keeps telling us what he's not going to do. We should never tell ISIS what we're not going to do.
And then Brennan, with a flub, another flub. It was flub 2. I think this happened, and everyone got caught off guard, or some people got caught off guard. And the speeches weren't written, and people are just, I think they're a little on edge. And even Brennan, who's a pretty cool character when it comes to, propagating his formula, he flubbed on this. And I think it's a very significant one.
We are a country, certainly I believe we are a country that prides itself on its tradition of welcoming people from around the globe. There is no other country on the face of the earth that is more of a melting pot than the United States.
A melting plot? Do you think he has...
Play it again.
Yeah, he has plot on the brain.
No other country on the face of the earth that is more of a melting pot than the United States.
So he flubs twice. He says something. Let's listen to it.
Welcoming people from around the globe.
He said something else. He flubbed twice.
Its tradition of welcoming people from around the globe. There is no other country
There's no other country on the world. I don't know. That was maybe just a. And I think that's what messed him up. And the word plot came out. Why would he? Why is that's a Freudian slip of epic proportion.
Certainly, I believe we are a country that prides itself on its tradition of welcoming people from around the globe. There is no other country on the face of the earth that is more of a melting pot than the United States. And so what we want...
I think he's right. We are a melting pot. One big plot at the top.
Wow.
The View, my favorite show. Women around the world watch it. There's a question in here that I need to ask you.
It's your beat.
The View is my beat. And it's Whoopi, of course. Whoopi and Joy and all the gals talking about the meme that we should confirm that immigrants are Christians. If they're Muslims, they can't come in. And I don't really know if anyone said that specifically that way.
Not that way, but no. Ted Cruz kind of, or no, it was the other guy.
Rand Paul?
No, the guy's not running for president. That was the vice presidential candidate last time it took over the speakership of the House.
Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay. But The View took this to heart, and they had their own take on religion.
One more point. I mean, Christian Timothy McVeigh was a Christian. Just saying.
He was. Well, there have been,
Wait.
A lot of horrifying.
Listen,
there have been a lot of monster Christians. Yeah. Hitler was a Christian.
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. He was not a Christian. He hated Christianity. That's why I'll play it's another 17 seconds. This woman is retarded.
There have been a lot of monster Christians. Yeah. Hitler was a Christian.
Now you have the religious girl, the cute little conservative chick. If she's going to say, because she's freaking out now because the Whoopi just said the evil Hitler was a Christian, and she's it's hitting her right in the forehead.
Technically, I'm not so sure.
He didn't like the Catholics. Remember?
Yeah, no, he didn't like
He thought of himself as a Christian person.
There are people in all groups that don't represent that group well.
Yes, so there's a whole bunch of boneheads on both sides.
Yeah, the big bonehead is sitting there in the chair, Whoopi Goldberg. What an idiot. Hitler was a Christian. I mean, Wikipedia, you can even see that that's not true. So now we have the problem in Europe with the European migration. And there is significant resistance to the, I think it was decided last Sunday or very early this week, about the quotas. We have a new boss coming in, the new Prime Minister of Poland. He's not having any of it, and there are others.
Poland's incoming Minister for European Affairs says he doesn't agree with...
I'm sorry, Minister for European Affairs. Yeah.
Poland's incoming Minister for European Affairs says he doesn't agree with the EU quotas for refugees after the Paris attacks.
We'll accept refugees only if we have security guarantees. This is a key condition, and today a question mark has been put next to it all around Europe.
Konrad Szymanski didn't explain what he meant by security guarantees. He only said that implementing the quotas is no longer politically viable. Szymanski is set to take the helm of Poland's policy on European affairs on Monday. In September, Poland finally approved the EU plan for the relocation of 120,000 refugees across the bloc. The quotas have also so far been rejected by Hungary, Romania, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia amid mounting criticism of how they treat the refugee populations.
So what is happening, from what I can garner, is we are now looking at a mini Schengen, is what they're calling it. So the Schengen Agreement is the open border policy of the European Union, of the nation states, where you can cross borders without being stopped and without any form of identification or passport being asked when you enter or leave, except for the United Kingdom, who were famously not part of the Schengen Agreement. And now it looks like Eastern European countries are going to be excluded from the Schengen zone, along with Greece, Spain, and Italy. And Belgium, France, Germany, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands are going to redraw the boundaries and create what they're calling now the mini Schengen. So when you do this, this is the breakup of the European Union. This is the breakup. It's over if this really happens. And then it's just...
it's happening.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure how...
I've been watching most of the European news sources, and everyone is just like... They won't admit to the breakup of the EU as a whole, but they all agree that the Schengen is over.
And I think the Schengen and the Euro are these are the two things that make up a United States of Europe.
Pretty much.
Can you imagine if we had border... we have border patrol in Texas, but that's different. That's illegal search. But if we had borders between states and you couldn't cross the border.
In California.
Sorry?
In California, we do.
You have what?
You get stopped when you're driving down in like Highway 5.
Yeah, we have it here in Texas, too. If you're within 100 miles of the border, then...
No, you get stopped going from Washington to California.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a border?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
They stop you at the border between Washington State and California.
I'm sorry, Oregon and California. There's no border between Washington and California. Oregon, yeah.
And do they ask for your Ausweis?
No, they ask you if you're carrying any fruits and vegetables.
And
then you say no, or sometimes they say, well, can I look in your trunk? And they don't want to bring in pests. So they stop. California's got it between Nevada and California.
Yeah, they're using that old ruse. But I think you know
it's not an old ruse. It's been around since the beginning when some asshole came in with some horrible moths.
Yes, and now it's a ruse.
It's not a ruse.
Please, it's a ruse. It's a ruse.
No.
Stop with your ruse.
But they do stop you, so that's not true.
But this is... we're seeing.
Can you sneak in? Yes.
Yeah. Now, but we're seeing the breakup of the European Union. The EU is completely flummoxed. They don't know what to do. And of course, the whole place is set up not to function.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with any of that because I think it's happening. But I've never been a fan of the EU to begin with, as everyone should probably recognize.
And I'm not either. And I lived in the EU.
Now, here's the question I have before I play my Ask Adam clip. Do you think the Brexit's going to go over or not? And when is it due for a vote?
What do you mean, what does it do for a vote?
When did they vote on the Brexit?
They haven't voted yet.
No, I said when.
Oh, it's coming soon. I think it's coming pretty soon. Do I think that they will actually leave? I don't think so. I think it's going to be June 2016. There's so much that could happen between now and then.
Well, there's lots of propaganda that's going to crank up. Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch that.
It's going to be great. Yeah. But now, who else was talking about an exit? There was another exit discussed. Another country.
I don't know of any.
Well, I'm sure there are. This is being discussed everywhere. People got to, I mean, France should go out immediately. They should.
Yeah, this expedite the World War III.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you. Since we're talking about the bombings, and you just mentioned France.
Right.
That's my key.
Or as Thom Hartmann says, France. Have you been listening to his show?
I have a clip from him, actually. He's terrible.
He's now saying, the horrible attacks in France. I should have recorded it.
He's like the only guy that didn't go.
The terrible attacks in France.
Ask Adam. Yeah.
All right, what's your question?
Play this clip, Air France bomb threats.
Air France bomb threats.
Hence 24 hours for passengers flying over the U.S. A bomb threat called in 2 Air France passenger jets making emergency landings, one in Salt Lake City, the other forced to land in Halifax. Passengers describing the fear, flight crews in tears, as tonight airports from coast to coast scramble to stay one step ahead of any new threat. ABC's David Curley covers aviation.
An emergency landing and evacuation of Air France passengers in 2 separate cities. Anonymous bomb threats shortly after takeoff for Paris.
Air France 065, and are you still dumping fuel?
The phoned-in threat said a bomb would go off in 90 minutes.
Air France 65, Salt Lake Tower, you're in clear to land.
That flight, landing in Salt Lake City, had left Los Angeles. The other took off about the same time from Washington, landing in Nova Scotia, where passengers were taken off so authorities and canines could screen the jetliner.
I would rather come to Halifax for the night than risk my plane exploding over the Atlantic.
Both jets and 600 passengers cleared. It was a hoax. And with the busy Thanksgiving travel week ahead, the Secretary of Homeland Security is trying to allay any fears.
We continue to encourage the public to travel, attend public events, but remain vigilant and aware.
Yeah, very good.
In the morning.
Jed's new voice. I do have a question.
I just want to say I'm looking through my alerts because whenever an aircraft throws out a 7700 squawk, it shows up on my system. I didn't see either of these Air France flights do that, so I'm going to go back and check that. That's annoying me. That's
Maybe
annoying.
just a story.
Could be. All right.
But the question on my mind is, if you call in an air threat nowadays, why doesn't the NSA pick it up? Because it's not obviously encoded or anything.
You are asking a rhetorical question, aren't you?
And why didn't the NSA pick it up and then bust the guys and then make that big news? I don't know. What happens? Why doesn't that happen? I'm asking you. You're a big expert.
You have stumped the band. No idea. Because it's bogus. I'm telling you, I did not see the ADSB squawk alert, so I'm questioning the validity of this at all. If you have a radio problem, you squawk 7600. If you have an emergency, you need to land, and you need priority, it's 7700. If you are hijacked, it's 7800. I do not have any record of Air France. Maybe someone in the chat room can look around for me and see if they can find it. But I didn't see it. And I check them every morning. What came in overnight? Nothing. Okay,
well, that's fine and dandy, but it still doesn't explain why the NSA just doesn't, come knocking on the guy's door 5 minutes later. They're supposed to be. That's what they're doing. That's what they're supposed to be doing, right?
You just threw in a right with a question mark.
I think that's legit.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the technology of what's going on here. And
if you're going to do that, let's pre-play a clip.
Okay.
Anonymous.
I was going to end with Anonymous, but we can start.
A whole lot of their operations out there in the open.
I just want to set up this clip, even though I don't know exactly what it is, but the cavalier nature of news reporting on Anonymous, as if there's some established group that is all good to go, and now they're the heroes, and it's not just some douchebag script kiddie dickhead with a Guy Fawkes mask.
I don't know what it is, because it could be CIA.
I mean, hello. They arrested the guy who was the original Anonymous. They arrested him.
Yeah, and he died in jail. I think they killed him.
Yeah, so, But the brand remains. And yes, this is very problematic because you're promoting something you know nothing about. It could be CIA. It could be any kind of organization. It could be like Ann Applebaum. What is that guy? I.O. Error, the douche knuckle from Tor. It could be any of these people. Any of them. But let's just report on them like they're heroes now.
A whole lot of their operations out there in the open, but there is some things that we can see online. They have a very large network of hackers out there, and here's one example. So basically, there's some Twitter accounts out there pointing out, hey, take a look at this. This might be a suspected Islamic State account. We've circled it for you. You can see the account name on Twitter is ISIS Recruit. So they're flagging this essentially and saying, let's take this one down. Another thing you...
Wait a minute. Stop. They don't take it down. They flag it like the heroes they are. They flag it for Twitter to then go, oh, yes, no, this is inappropriate. They're saying mean things. They're hurting my feelings. We'll take it down. Anonymous, what are they? Gamers? Gamergates? Social justice warriors? These are not hackers. These are little weenie people.
By the way, I promised to talk about social justice hackers, and people always condemn us for promising one thing, and the next show goes by, and by the time the show's over, you never get around to the topic. I'm pushing it off.
You can see in the open, this is a list of suspected Twitter accounts operated by Islamic State. And look at this thing scroll. There's more than 1,000 Twitter accounts that they've already uncovered. I mean, this just keeps on going and going. Well, we were curious. We tested one of these links. We essentially copied and pasted it to see if this was still active, if they were already able to take some of these down. And you'll see the result. It already has been suspended. And in fact, we know that in the past, Anonymous has worked directly with Twitter to try to take some of these things down.
Yeah, it's nice to see that account suspended signal there. You know, government agencies across Europe.
I mean, this makes no sense. Why would you suspend the account of someone who you can track and trace and use IP addresses and probably, you know, the Tor exit nodes? Why would you not honeypot that? Thanks, Anonymous. Thanks.
That's the first thing I thought too.
Dumb. Thanks, like Anonymous.
I mean, I can imagine somebody at wherever, NSA or Langley or wherever they are, sitting and seeing this and going, holy shit, they took that is one of our best
accounts.
Our best accounts. We were getting so many leads from that account. Oh, these idiots.
Have units dealing, of course, with cyber intelligence, cyber defense. What do social media users think about Anonymous getting involved in a domain that's typically a government domain?
Well, this operation is already trending on Twitter with a hashtag OpParis.
Oh, well, if it's trending in the operation as a hashtag, it's real.
Op ISIS. And there's actually quite an amount of support for Anonymous online. This is just one Twitter user here, and he says, you know, one would think that our government would do something about ISIS, yet a group of hacktivists have done more than our own government.
Okay. I'm getting upset. And it's probably because I watch a lot of tech shows, the tech horny shows. Then I listen to podcasts, and I just, you know, see if there's anything new. That typically isn't. But here's what I heard consistently when brought up. Yeah, ISIS is, you know, they're Anonymous is attacking ISIS and taking them down. And unified. The tech horny hosts are like, that's so cool. Yeah, these guys are great. That's so cool. You morons. That's so cool. Without any thinking about what we just said. It's a Twitter account. It could be useful. It could be nothing. But this is ridiculous. And it's not cool. It's not.
They may be interfering if this is actually going on and it's not, the whole thing is just a giant scam or scheme. Or you may be interfering with an important government operation. I'm not defending some of the stuff that goes on, but in this case, people in NSA, are you kidding me? Or the CIA, either one of them, they know what's going on. Half of these accounts are bull crap.
Half of these accounts are from the State Department. Yeah, exactly. You can't be taking that down. Probably the State
Department too.
Now we had the big revelation, which is another handy use of this crisis, which we do not want to go to waste. Has been teeing up for years, but really the past few months, particularly Director Comey of FBI has been all over it. And yeah, finally we can move forward with the encryption issue.
Investigators have found evidence that the operatives tied to the Paris attackers frequently changed cell phones, switched cars, even searched for possible listening devices. And according to counterterrorism and intelligence officials, there's evidence that they used encryption.
That maybe they're using encrypted messaging apps. They do a very good job of hiding
whatever you're saying from being intercepted by somebody who, like a government.
Encryption. Conversations chopped up into a jumble by mathematical algorithms.
Oh, that's a good... what is it? It's put into a jumble?
You're saying
chopped up
into a jumble.
Somebody who, like a government.
Encryption. Conversations chopped up into a jumble by mathematical algorithms.
I love the keyboard tapping. It's so modern.
Code that U.S. officials say is nearly impossible to crack.
We don't have the ability to break strong encryption. And so if they move to the mobile messaging app, we're going to lose them. So that's a huge worry.
Apps like one called Signal encrypt phone calls. WhatsApp and an app called Telegram encrypt text. Matthew Green, who teaches applied cryptography at Johns Hopkins, showed us another way terrorists can make their texts disappear on the Telegram app.
This is fantastic, and we need to focus on that. We've talked about Telegram as being inherently insecure in the past.
Yes. You can program them to self-destruct in a few seconds. I send Green a text to meet me somewhere. He reads it. Then...
Gone. And just like that.
Oh, man. It's magic.
I've got no record of the communication.
No.
Telegram also has an avenue similar to Facebook and Twitter where you can post public messages.
An avenue? What the hell is he talking about? I mean, a wall? An avenue? A feed? An avenue, please.
ISIS used Telegram to claim responsibility for the Paris attacks and the downing of the Russian passenger plane in Sinai. ISIS, analysts say, is constantly coaching its operatives on how to use secure communications.
In its English language publications, ISIS says, use an Android phone. They're the hardest to crack.
What? An Android phone is the hardest to crack? Are these guys steering them in the wrong direction purposefully? Because it sure sounds like it.
I have a bunch of these clips. I didn't keep a lot of them, but I got for example, Ed Royce, the head of the House.
Well, bear with me. I'm taking this to a place.
Okay, well, this is going to be adding to it. He went on and on about encryption, and they got these new technologies. And I just listened to thing after thing after thing about encryption. In fact, I wrote a column in PC Magazine about this, saying that they're going to lead us to this bullcrap encryption thing. But go on, play, because I have actually an interesting counter clip when you're done.
Okay. Secure communications.
In its English language publications, ISIS says, use an Android phone. They're the hardest to crack for the intelligence agencies. Use particular applications that are anonymized. Use Tor, which is, of course, the dark net.
Oh, yeah, great. Use Tor. Can't get caught there.
But with all its tech savvy, ISIS may have made one significant cyber enemy.
La guerre est déclenchée.
Anonymous, now vowing to unleash a wave of cyber attacks on ISIS in retaliation for the Paris massacre.
Okay, two things about this. One, the Cloudflare is all up in arms, saying, hey, stop DDoSing us. Because that, and it's people who use Cloudflare. Cloudflare? Is that it? Cloudflare?
Yeah.
Who are now DDoSing Cloudflare-hosted sites because they're anonymous and they think they're all righteous. What the Wall Street Journal published, which is the source, I'll tell you first, it's under the radar. Islamic State issues regular tech tutorials this week in jihad. Regular tech tutorials intended to keep followers' communications out of reach of government surveillance. This guide, circulated in January, ranks the encryption of chat apps. Want to guess who the source is of this image?
That magazine?
Yeah, Site Intelligence Group. This is Rita Katz once again.
Site Intelligence Group, fantastic.
So here she has the safest apps.
So they somehow found this document.
Oh yeah,
nobody else ever finds anything.
It was on the dark web.
Oh, they're experts on the dark web.
So here's safest are Silent Circle and Red Phone. I think it's the same outfits. OSTel, which I've never heard of. Chat Secure and Signal. Now Signal, I think, is secure. Safe. Telegram is considered safe, which we know is not.
Right.
Wicker, Threema, and SureSpot. Never even heard of those. Moderately safe is iMessage from Apple. Interesting. FaceTime. Hangouts and Facebook Messenger. Are you kidding me? Facebook Messenger is moderately safe? Yeah, no. Unsafe, Viber, WhatsApp, Line, Tango, WeChat. And all of these, I think, are pretty much, except for the Signal. I can vouch for Signal, which used to be text secure. And then, of course, we got the big news about another form of encryption, which Rita Katz forgot to list on her little handy chart here.
This news just coming in just moments ago, by the way. The French Interior Minister, Bernard Cazeneuve, says that 115,000 police, gendarmes, and soldiers... Gendarme. Make sure you pronounce it right. I think this is Holly Galani. Gendarme. Says that 115,000 police, gendarmes, and soldiers are mobilized across France following last week's terrorist attacks. And Cazeneuve also told local media that the Interior Ministry would also be investing in digital means.
We were just discussing that
to combat encryption techniques used by terrorists. And John, interestingly also, there are, experts are saying that potentially some of these terrorists might have communicated through gaming consoles.
Game Boys, you can...
So just so you can hear how clueless these people are. So the report was, which was not an official report from the French, as far as I know, from officials, that PlayStation 4 was used to communicate amongst each other. And listen to these boneheads.
Communicated through gaming consoles.
Game Boys, you can do that.
Game Boys. Yeah, that'll do it. Game Boys. The most secure way to communicate within ISIS. Game Boys.
Really? Under the radar. Obviously, you're not going to text and send emails, but there are other ways to communicate.
We talk about encrypted technology. It's not necessarily that these people have programmers, lining up these new systems. It's using things like Game Boys or PlayStations or WhatsApp, which can be much harder to surveil than traditional phone lines.
You're such a moron. Here's the one point I'll make about that, and I'll shut up. When Benghazi was hit in 2012, we found out about it because Sean Smith, one of the intelligence officers who was killed, was on his PlayStation 4 in World and EVE Online. And there's no doubt that intelligence assets in the United States, I'm talking NSA, CIA, whatever, DIA, they use EVE Online for secure communications. They are in world, that's how they communicate. So wherever this report came from, true or not, it only adds fuel to the fire that these were not a bunch of terrorists. Well, they terrorized, so they're terrorists, but I'm thinking that is a big clue right there. Red flag.
Well, on one of the reports that David Muir did on ABC, they had found the guy who had rented the apartment to all of them. And the guy was like, what am I supposed to do? As a friend asked me, it was an interesting story and kind of in and of itself. I did not have a clip of it for some reason. I thought I did. And my argument is that what do you need any communication for? You have a house, you rented this apartment, you check it for bugs, and you sit around and you talk about what you're going to do. And then, what do you need all this encryption and all this other stuff when you're in the town meeting just before the event? And then I got this little clip, which is David Muir in Paris reveals cell phone message, which was kind of baffling.
You can see the signs of impact against the cement wall there behind us. The man who allowed them to stay in that apartment detained during the raid and questioned by investigators, saying, someone asked me to put people up for 3 days and I did them a favor. I don't know where they came from. I don't know anything. If I'd known, do you think I would have done it? And tonight, the French prosecutor also revealing more about the cell phones the attackers are believed to have used the night of the attacks. One found in the trash outside the Bataclan Theater. On it, a text to a member of the terror cell at 9:40 p.m. saying, we're ready. Let's go.
Let's roll is what you should have said.
Well, how come this wasn't encrypted? And what kind of a vague message is that anyway that anyone would catch under any circumstance? This is bull crap. This whole encryption argument is aimed at the U.S. public. It's got nothing to do with this. Judy Woodruff had a couple people on, and both of them were kind of brought on to scare the public about encryption, and it was curious to watch because the clip was 10 minutes. Unfortunately, I couldn't pull anything out of it. But the conclusion was, that's bull crap. It was just ruined the thing. The script was ruined, and Woodruff kept pushing and pushing, and both of them said, no, it's not about encryption. It's got nothing to do with it. And then I got this clip, which I thought was extremely peculiar. The same report by David Muir floating around Paris, living it up tonight. David Muir, play David Muir on your knees, show me your back.
A French prosecutor tonight revealing the SWAT teams were met with reinforced doors to the apartment they were trying to storm here in the Saint-Denis neighborhood. The prosecutor saying they were met with a barrage of firepower, gunshots as they tried to get into the apartment. The rapid, heavy gunfire could be heard through the streets. Witnesses seeing police and terror suspects. Through their windows, the terrified residents watching it all unfold.
On your knees! Show me your back!
On your knees, show me your back. You can hear the police yelling.
Why are the police yelling in English?
Because that's a good question.
It's a very good question.
Because most terrorists
on your knees, show me your back. That guy didn't turn around and say, hands up, don't shoot.
Huh.
Why was the police yelling in English?
Yeah, I can't answer that other than it's a scam.
There's a scam involved.
How uncanny is it, John, though, that, maybe a week and a half ago, we're talking about the start of World War III, and then this kicks off? I mean, how uncanny is it?
Yeah.
And I've been looking around. I've been following Noodleman. I've been looking at as much as I can. And I believe I know which city will be hit next in this campaign of terror.
This is where you shine.
Mm-hmm. You ready?
I'm all ears.
Oslo. Oslo, I think, is next.
Okay, I don't know why you'd think that, but okay.
And I got a.
You have a rationale for this? You're just going to throw it out there?
No, in looking at a lot of emails I've got received from people about situation in Germany, situation in Austria, situation in Sweden, situation in Norway and Denmark, in the Netherlands, of course. The Netherlands they're going to start freaking out pretty quick. That's going to happen.
You know that Norway's not in the EU, so that takes it out of the EU immediately.
I don't think it's EU related. I think it's just terror related.
All right.
Oslo's a good country. It's a good country to do it. It doesn't matter where you do it, really. And everyone will be focused on America, and then it'll pop off.
Well, they have New York in their sights, supposedly. I have a prediction for the Red Book, which is kind of a lame prediction compared to that. But, the French have lit up the Eiffel Tower. I don't know how they did it.
Hold on a second. Somehow people think I'm a moron and think that Oslo is a country. If I wasn't clear, I said...
Someone thinks Oslo's a country?
I didn't say that, did I?
No. You said you knew what country was going to... No, you said you know. When I listened to everything you said, and when you said Oslo, I know what you meant. Oslo, the city in Norway.
Thank you.
So I don't know what they're talking about.
Well, just so they know, I got my eye on you morons there.
Well, there you go again, the chat room, and just get your goat. It's like, let's see if we can get at it.
Hey, I got a great email.
Well, let me finish my prediction.
Sorry, your prediction.
They've somehow, I don't know how, I would like to have someone to explain to me how the French have lit up the Eiffel Tower with the blue and the white and the red, because anyone who's ever seen the Eiffel Tower, been there, that thing is a dingy brown color. It's a very screwy color.
It's rusty.
No, it's more brown than rusty. It's just this brown. It's painted a brown.
That's what
paint.
she said.
It's a funny brown color. I don't know how you make the white on that Eiffel Tower be white. I don't know how you can do it. It just seemed like it'd be just a bright brown, but somehow they've done it. My prediction is they leave it that way forever.
Possibly.
Because it looks
much better. It does.
It looks great. It's even more gaudy than... I mean, the French hated the Eiffel Tower when it was first built.
Well, I have a question for you.
They wanted to tear it down.
I have a question for you. Why is it that in this international days of mourning, and flags are half-mast, and why is it that the Eiffel Tower is lit up? Everyone's freaking icon on Twitter and the Facebook is all French flag is superimposed. Where was the White House? All they need to do is turn off a couple of the gay colors and fire it up.
Oh, that's a great point.
Why didn't the White House fire it up?
Yeah, why didn't the White House do it? Because they weren't in on the scam.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a protest not to do it.
Exactly.
They did it on the Empire State Building.
Yep. So.
Very good. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you have an
email. They got an email from... let me see. There was a conversation and it went on encrypted. I work for an outage center for a major electric. I'm editorializing because I have to keep him anonymous, obviously. I work for an outage center for a major electric provider in a major metro area. I'm the guy on the front lines and in full control of any outage situations. This is the no agenda producing audience.
Yes.
Okay?
It is.
I said okay.
That's why No Agenda is such a great show. People should contribute.
And I would love to see some of these experts being questioned in news programming.
Never happened.
No. I'm the guy in the front lines in full control of any outage situations. Today at about 10 a.m., we were told there was a nationwide drill going on all day, and this was yesterday, and are told to report anything that comes across our system as unusual. Then, 15 minutes later, we are told that a drone had been spotted above one of our substations, but of course it was part of the drill. He says, I find it odd that this type of drill is being run so close after the Paris attacks. I've worked in this industry for 23 years and have never seen a drill like this happen. I question the motive behind this drill, as it seems most events happen at the same time as a drill. Well, we all know that. He said, I just wanted to send this out to you ahead of the curve, so at least I have a timestamp in case something happens to the station or me. Whoa.
God.
And then he followed up. Yeah, let's see. Can't mention that.
There was a lot of coverage of still. I don't have any clips, but I can tell you this happened over and over again. Coverage of bringing down the grid during this little. While they're discussing the Paris thing.
So he expands now. While we do have simulated NERC, that's North American Electric Reliability Corporation training once a year that consists of WECC. Western Electricity Coordinating Council, we have never had a simulated drill to my knowledge, 23 years. I was told this was a nationwide event. All of us in the control center were also told in person about the, quote, drill, and not the way the company usually organizes events via email. We were all given instructions that if anything strange and out of the normal happens, to notify management via a phone call and not by email. I found this whole protocol rather strange, and it is not how we usually handle outages and events. Outages and events are usually logged and documented to provide any legal recourse. I found this whole drill event rather odd, as it was right on the heels of the Paris attack. With the recent environment that has been created because of the Paris attacks, my spidey senses are on high alert for an attack here in the U.S. We know that all drills happen around such events. And he says that what did happen is they did, as part of the drill, the drone crashed into a substation. And it was the drone was also part of the drill. So I would say we need to be on the lookout for drones flying into substations. That's the drill, so you know that's going to be coming. And we appreciate this producer who finalizes by saying, I stumbled upon your show and a good friend of mine hit me in the mouth. I'd been listening to the Seed Guy for a couple of years, and the more I listened to him, the more I realized he was full of shit. Yeah, he brought up some good points, but he always turned it all around to make it about him. So needless to say, I'm very happy with the work you do. I find your approach most excellent. I'll be making a donation as I've been a douchebag for the past year or so, and I can no longer look at myself in the mirror. Well, we highly appreciate these types of messages.
Yes.
It's very, very helpful.
Fantastic.
And as we get ready to thank some people, you probably saw the tweets about the most recent South Park episode?
No.
South Park had their episode, which aired, I guess, last night. I saw the whole episode. Then producers are even sending me little clips, pre-cut clips. Kid at the school does the school newspaper, and PC Bro, who's now the principal, all PC, he has an issue with someone in an op-ed in the school paper using the word retarded. And of course, you can't use that word because it hurts somebody's feelings. And then the kid who's in charge of the newspaper goes into this whole thing about how he won't have ads and or sponsored content. And as he's going through that, he gets picked up by the evil newspaper corporations who are trying to figure out why he is one of the few who can actually distinguish an ad from real news content. Here are a few clips.
The average human can no longer tell the difference between the news and an ad. You seem to have some mental ability that allows you to know the difference.
So they put the kid through a whole bunch of tasks like ad, content, news, ad.
That's called sponsored content. I know the difference between the news and ads. You think I'm stupid?
Yeah.
Stick it up your ass. Sorry, Charlie, but I don't allow ads in my newspaper.
We've heard all about that, so we thought you could just do some news stories about car insurance. Just state the facts, because the truth is everyone can save by switching to Geico.
Now, the thing I like the most about this is, of course, they got paid for that.
Yeah, of course. I hope so.
That's the best part. But I have to say that the guys over at South Park, they're doing important work. Comedy, but parody is so incredibly important in times like this. And it's nice to see that they're on the same track as No Agenda.
It is nice to see.
So we're not entirely.
It's rare, by the way.
Unfortunately, we don't have the infrastructure to create such a great spoof where you actually make a joke about sponsored content and then get paid for doing a Geico ad. But those guys are really.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Woo! Yeah, on No Agenda.
Well, we do have a few people to thank for show 775. And we want to explain that we have show 777 coming up, but it's not in 2 shows because the Thanksgiving show, which I'll be editing tonight, is show 776.5 because not really a show. Yeah. So the following Sunday, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, will be show 777.
Excellent.
So you still have enough time to get
in for your 777
or any 777, 77, 70, and all that.
And that show, the Thanksgiving show, which you don't have to listen on Thanksgiving itself, but I recommend it because you can play this and the whole family can listen.
It's hilarious.
It's just funny. It's just funny. It's crazy that we think we're funny ourselves. But the way it was put together is genius. Sir Cyber did that. So that'll be on Thanksgiving Day.
Mark Klein, we start off with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 donation from Barron, Wisconsin. You might make a note of this and give him allows me to use the name Gentleman of Barron. He's a gentleman. Oh, based on my calculation, I am 3. He's working on getting his knighthood. That's what it is. Okay. But he wants to be known as the Baron, or what was it again? The Gentleman of Barron, because he's in Barron, Barron, Wisconsin. It's cute.
Okay.
Chuck Kendrick in White Rock, British Columbia, 123.21. Brandon St. Armand in Woodstock, Ontario, Canada, $100. He's got a birthday coming up. Somebody does. Paul Baldovin in Chicago, Illinois, $99.99.
No, I wasn't ready for it.
$99.99.
You know what? He was a Christian. He was a Christian.
Is that a question I have to answer?
He was a Christian. According to
Paul Baldovin came in again. Well, now he's at the mark where he's essentially at $200. And so we should, I guess,
put him up in associate territory.
Yeah, so he needs a de-douching and some karma.
Okay.
You've been de-douched.
Let's make a note.
You've got karma.
Yeah.
Move him up.
Let's see, who is it? Paul Baldovin.
Paul Baldovin.
Yeah, I'm making a note of it now. Note made.
So he got his job karma. Dr. Normal in Portland, Oregon, 8086. Colin. Now we have a bunch of people that came up with 7770, which is a donation level we thought would be kind of nice and contribute to the 777 celebration coming up shortly. Colin Sloman in London, UK. Daniel Torello in Charleston, South Carolina. Donald Winkler in Berlin, Deutschland. Go podcasting.
Go podcasting! Oh, I forgot to drop the mic.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Podcast. Robert.
I don't remember where it is.
I got a bunch of sound.
I thought I put that in.
Try it again.
Well, hold on a second. What? You just want me to say go podcasting?
Yeah, I got the bong. Not that kind of bong. This kind.
Okay.
Yell.
Go podcasting!
It's not quite as dramatic as draw, I guess.
That really.
It was bad. It was bad.
That really didn't.
Yeah, it didn't have.
I'll try it again. Okay. Yeah, here we go. I'll do it properly. Here we go. Go podcasting!
Yeah, perfect. It's exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You should just make that a single clip.
That is a single clip.
No, you actually yelled it though.
True.
Or is that the whole clip?
I have the whole clip.
With you saying Gold Podcasting in the clip?
I do.
Oh, okay. That's what you want. Robert Owens in Oak Hill, Virginia, 7770. Chris Malmy in Cherry Valley, Massachusetts. These are all 77, 70s. Angela Castaneda in Henderson, Nevada.
That's Dame Angela.
Is it?
Yeah, Dame Angela from who produced the...
down south. That's right. That's Henderson.
Yes.
Yeah, Dame Angela.
Yeah, Dame Angela. Hooking us up.
Sir Mathieu Helly.
Mathieu
in Gatineau, Quebec. Jason Daniels in Dallas, Texas. And that closes that little segment. It wasn't a lot. But we do have a lot of other ones, like 7750 from Sir Herb Lamb in Sugar Hill, Georgia, and Sir Daniel Ehrlich in Bowlesburg, Pennsylvania, 7750. Sir Rick is in from Arlington, Washington at 6933. Kenneth Barnhouse in Dallas, Texas at 6666, along with Sir Inside Jobs Black Knight, 6666. In Seattle. He's in Seattle, Washington. Gina Brown in Providence Village, Texas, 6378. Vladimir Landman in Sioux City, Iowa, 5678. Brian, these are all mile highers. Brian Hopkins in Honolulu, Hawaii, 5510. Dean Roker, 5510. Double nickels on the dime. Parts unknown. Thomas Dennis in Duanesville, Duanesburg, New York, 5510. Then we go to Sir Mike Gates, the Knight of High Places, 5280, Colorado Springs, which is indeed a high place. I guess that's the Mile High Club. Jason Aubrey, I don't know what that other one was. Jason Aubrey in Foreman, Arkansas, $50. These are all $50 donors to close it out. The Deanna Carruthers in Tumwater, Washington, where they used to be the water used to make Olympia beer. Andrew Haverson in Gravenhurst, Ontario. Michael Gates in Colorado Springs. William Granger, parts unknown. Joel DeRuin, as in the ruined duck, I guess, in Savannah, Georgia. Matthew Mongan in Baltimore, Maryland. Rosalind Furness in Turnbridge Wells, Kent. Rudkin Paul, or Paul Rudkin as it would be, because it comes in backwards because he's in China right now, in Shanghai. Arthur Faust in Julian, North Carolina. John Camp in Antlers, Oklahoma, favorite town name. Amitav Hajra in Daleville, Virginia. Chris Perry in Silver Spring, Maryland. Dame Melody Man in Ringo, Louisiana. And that's the end of our list. Good list. Good list. I want to thank every one of them. A lot of knights in there, which are of course, a lot of people are getting to knighthood. I want to thank everybody for helping us out, even the lesser donations that came. We do have a show coming up Sunday. We really hope you'll support us. Keep on supporting the best podcast in the universe. And I do have one make good, so I have to read it. It's a letter that came in from Kevin Kelly. He says, I sent a donation. I checked this out, by the way, because he's in some crazy town that I would remember. I never said it. I passed it over. I don't know. I sent him a note saying it's rare because you're reading along with me. I sent a donation, $55.10 through PayPal, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't credited. Just want to be sure I'm sending donations to the right place. Love the show. Look forward to many more during my path to knighthood. Right on. Hey, I said right on. You did. Yeah, you should put that in there. Is that on the list? Right on? Right on is yes, indeed, on the list, along with, oh, wow. Thank you to everybody for supporting us. We do not have any sponsored content. There's no way we can do it. We wouldn't, doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. We'd be fired. We'd have people. All you have to do is listen to our show 2 or 3 times, and you realize why we can't do any of that stuff. Yeah. Exactly. Also, thanks to everyone who came in under $50. Usually for reasons of anonymity, but also a lot of the subscriptions. Please, everyone, go to Dvorak.org/NA and check out some of the subscriptions in addition to any of your other support that you provide. Everything does help so we can continue. And Sunday, as I said, another show. Dvorak.org/NA. It's your birthday. Dean Calvin says happy birthday to his son Levi, who celebrated, or Levi, who celebrated on the 15th. Kate Bird says happy birthday to her husband Jonathan, celebrating today, the 19th. Jeff Schwab, Kilo Golf 7, Yankee India Kilo. He'll be celebrating his birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday from KF5SLN and KJ6LNG. And Brandon St. Armand says happy birthday to his asshole brother Stacy St. Armand, celebrating on the 22nd. Yes, we say happy birthday to all of you from your friends here at the best podcast in the universe. No knights, no titles. I should mention that it was the brother who called his brother an asshole, not us. Oh no, of course not. Yeah, but I'm just reading verbatim. I would never call anyone. Also, it's like douchebags.
And
we don't use asshole as much as we use douchebag.
But also, we never
brotherly thing.
But we never started the douchebag thing either. That was the producers.
We didn't.
Producers.
Attention all human resources. Now entering second half of show.
Second half of show where we find out the truth. The truth. Whatever.
The truth.
The truth. We got the truth. So after Sunday, after the show, it was overcast and raining in Marfa, Texas, where the keeper and I were camped out.
You were driving back in the trailer.
Mm-hmm. Well, no. We decided we would, since it's a long drive, 6.5 hours, that after the show we would stay one more night and then we'd drive back on Monday. She even took a day off for that. And which is, we're lucky, man.
Does she sit in the trailer being bounced around as
yes.
you drive?
No, she's cooking. She's baking cakes while I'm driving. make brownies. Are you kidding me?
Okay, go on.
No, she's very enjoyable to have in the car. She's a good counterbalance to Crackpot. And we had already planned on doing this, but you even sent an email. You need to go look at the Marfa lights.
Yes, I did.
So the Marfa lights is an unexplained phenomenon. You can look it up. There's a Wikipedia entry.
And I will say this. Yeah, the Wikipedia entry tells you everything. What's interesting to me about it is that it only exists recently.
The Wikipedia page?
No. The Marfa lights apparently showed up in the 1900s or something. It was never observed before.
Yes. That's what you call recently?
Yeah, well, I'm a historian. What do you want?
I think it was actually 1890 or something when it's
recently.
Okay, recent.
It wasn't around earlier than that. Of course, it was Texas. Well, Texas is populated.
So the Marfa lights, it's about 15 minutes outside of town, which you drive through in 3. And they have a little like viewing area, cement thing, which looks a lot like a gift shop, actually. Like, what kind of scam is this? But it's not. It was incredibly dark. There's no ambient light. We go out to the viewing area. It's raining, and I looked it up and said, well, the Marfa lights appear 10 to 20 times a year, because I really wanted to see, is it impossible to see this on an overcast night, and certainly when it's raining. And it said, it shows up in all different types of weather and different conditions, but not always. So we go out there. Like, we're walking towards the back of this little viewing area, and there they were. Probably, I sent you a picture, which is a shitty picture. From
I saw the picture. It was useless.
Yeah, it's useless. I didn't have
like those postcards that say Hawaii at night. It's just a black.
Well, I think if you look online, you can see other more professional photographs of the Marfa lights.
Yeah.
And we saw them clear as day. There was the little like spheres kind of in the distance, balls of red, yellow, green, and white lights.
Oh, I didn't know they were multicolored.
Multicolored, yeah, and they were not moving. They were just, some of them pulsed a little bit, but it was just kind of suspended in air, and we just stood there until we were bored of it. Okay, Marfa.
Marley, you want to go now?
I said, listen.
Are you going to watch? I don't know, honey. These things are really something.
Yeah, no. I went, hey, you want to see my trailer? And that was the end of the Marfa lights.
Now entering second half of show.
They are real.
But what are they? Is there any speculation? I didn't do much research after I found out.
No one knows what they are. People think they might have been headlights or reflections. I don't see any evidence of that. It's unclear. They're very clear to see, but it's unclear what it is.
Well, can't somebody look at the lights and then slowly move toward them until they either disappear or stay, and then you grab one?
They've done all of this, and they cannot find what it is.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, yes, it's ridiculous.
Yet they can predict global climate change.
I'm glad you brought that up. Sure. As we open up the gates, open up the door to the gate. Oh, I'm very happy about that.
To the gate, to the gate, to the gate,
of course.
Get that bug out of there.
CIA Director Brennan needs to propagate the formula. It was Thomas Friedman who started this. I remember it after the show. Thomas Friedman, a New York Times, is he columnist?
Yes.
He was the one that interviewed President Obama for the big, climate series, whatever it was. But he wrote in the New York Times, that, of course, climate change was at least for a major extent responsible for the civil war in Syria.
Oh.
And this has since been the meme, and we need to keep everybody on it because we do have the COP21 in Paris, the big global warming climate change money shakedown happening, and Brennan, of course, helps to propagate the formula.
The human toll is reflected in the UN's recent announcement that the number of refugees and internally displaced persons in the world is the highest it has been since World War II. And of course, all of this localized strife gives rise to the persistent threat of international terrorism. When CIA analysts look for deeper causes of this rising instability, they find nationalistic, sectarian, and technological factors that are eroding the structure of the international system.
Okay.
They also see socioeconomic trends, the impact of climate change, and other elements that are caused...
I like that. I'm going to start doing... Did you hear what he said? He didn't say climate change. It's climate change.
It's climate change.
The impact of climate change.
Climate change.
Climate change.
Climate change. We got to do that. The effects of climate change, or the way the Pope does it, climate change.
They also see socioeconomic trends, the impact of climate change, and other elements that are cause for concern. And so let me touch upon a few of those this morning.
Touch it.
Mankind's relationship with the natural world is aggravating these problems and is a potential source of crisis itself.
Relationship? We are the natural world.
No, you're not. You're just cannon fodder. Thank you for pointing that out. That is how elites talk. You're not part of the natural world. You're just a thing, just a pawn, just a creation, just something to be sucked dry.
The world is aggravating these problems and is a potential source of crisis itself. Last year was the warmest on record, and this year is on track to be even warmer. Extreme weather, along with public policies affecting food and water supplies, can worsen or create humanitarian crises. Of a most immediate concern, sharply reduced crop yields in multiple places simultaneously could trigger a shock in food prices with devastating effect, especially in already fragile regions such as Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia.
Yep.
Compromised access to food and water greatly increases the prospect for famine and deadly epidemics.
Excellent. Well, I wonder how the world has fared all these thousands of years.
It's amazing we're alive as we speak.
We technically should not even be here. Our ancestors should be dead.
Yet the population continues to grow.
Now, let's see, Senator Bob Cardin, who was all against the climate change and sees through the ruse. He was up on the Hill and he had a little, you know how these things work. You do a hearing, you bring in witnesses who are going to make your point, you set them up, and then you get a nice soundbite. So thank you, Senator Cardin, because I enjoyed your soundbite very much. Here is a witness speaking to Congress about the Paris climate talks and what they really are. Would you like to give our...
Oh, why not?
Why don't you tell us what our theory is on the climate talks and what's really going down?
I don't remember.
Okay, here's the guy to explain it to you then.
The Paris negotiations are not about emissions reductions. They are about cash. The developing world expects developed countries to offer more than $100 billion per year in what is called climate finance. The rationale for the money, the source of the money, and the use of the money are all unclear. Developing nations believe they are owed a, quote, ecological debt for past developed world emissions, and also owed, quote, reparations for the damage from storms they link to climate change. Now, these are plainly non-starters for the United States. But the developing world is also asking to be reimbursed the cost of mitigation measures they take. India alone says in its INDC it needs $2.5 trillion between now and 2030. But if the INDCs represent business as usual, funding is clearly inappropriate. Realistically, developed world leaders are pursuing a transaction in which, having staked their political capital and their legacies on achieving an agreement, any agreement, they will now pay developing nations to sign on the dotted line. To conclude, we should worry that U.S. negotiators and their colleagues, desperate to produce an agreement, will commit dollars from taxpayers that they cannot actually deliver and get nothing in return.
Yippee. All about the money.
Yes, indeed.
That should have been on the news somewhere.
That could have been. Something similar was on the news. And it's one of the most slanted, weird pieces I've ever heard Thom Hartmann deliver, although he's really good at it.
I'm sorry. Are you referring to...
I'm sorry.
Thom?
Here he is on Exxon, and I'm going to give you what happened here from my perspective. I don't know the details because this is not going to go anywhere.
Question about Thom. Because of course I listen to Sirius Progress.
Oh yeah,
127,
you listen to that
and I listen to Thom. But is he making money? Because every commercial is about the super beets, the beet, like dried beets or some powdery stuff that Alex Jones probably
you're listening to are the network commercials.
And he also does gold. How a guy like Thom Hartmann, who was holier than thou, then it's like, oh, Republicans suck. They're crazy.
Sells gold.
Yeah, and then he goes into, right now I have financial analysts on the phone. And say, well, what about the coming crash? Well, we should all buy gold. Okay, how can he take himself seriously when he's out there promoting gold for a commercial right after he's finished excoriating everyone who disagrees with him? Which is kind of how crazy Obama bots operate.
Yeah, it's sad.
Along with Michelangelo Signorelli. This is my next target. This guy's got to go down. You ever heard of this guy?
Yeah, I have. I don't think I've ever heard him.
He is the most hateful. Most hateful
Does he
man.
beat Ed Schultz in his heyday?
Oh, hands down.
Oh, I don't know if you've heard Ed
Well, in his heyday, I don't know about in his heyday, but then he's a good contender to take over the hate spot. Unbelievable. For a gay white man, he should check his privilege.
Yes, he should. So in 1977, of course, was the big global cooling going on that everyone was on, and I think it lasted until 79.
And,
76.
And may I say that if anyone says, there was only one article published, search.nashownotes.com, search.nashownotes.com.
And we probably only have the tip of the iceberg.
We have scans of the New York Times, of Newsweek, of Time Magazine. We have tons of op-eds, editorials. Yep. I hope I'm not blowing your thunder, but back then they also claimed the same thing about global cooling.
Yes. And there wasn't one article. It was cover stories.
But the Pentagon...
I went through that period. It was like every other thing was about the news, the nightly news. You don't have any of those clips because you don't have to go to the broadcasting museum.
But I do have...
they're there.
I have in the show notes, I have a scan of the New York Times where the Pentagon... based on the reports of global cooling, was saying that this could bring about all kinds of horrible things like terrorism. I kid you not.
Now, apparently Exxon had been looking into the global climate change. They've been looking into climate change at the time for their own purposes. And from what I can tell, they came to no conclusions one way or the other, but they did study it. And they continue to apparently study it because they think it will affect the way they're drilling rights, and it's harder to drill in the frozen tundra and all the rest. But Hartmann, or I guess somebody in New York State, supposedly, even though this has not really been documented, is thinking of suing Exxon because just like we have this false analogy, just like the cigarette companies, they knew about this in 1977 and they didn't do anything about it. Now, play this clip. And then the way I had to cut it off, I felt I just couldn't stand it anymore.
Oh, it's Thom.
When they brought some woman in, some Australian nutcase came in, and she's yakking about stuff, and I got sick of her accent. No offense, Australian donors, but this woman, you'll see what I mean. It's worse. I'm sorry, it's worse than what's her name? That woman that used to be the prime minister. Anyway, play.
For tonight's Green Report, we go to New York State.
I'm sorry, the Green Report?
Yes, he does these little gimmicks every once in a while. He brings music and a logo.
Yeah, hey, dude, get yourself some producers like we have, man.
Unbelievable.
For tonight's Green Report, we go to New York State, where State Attorney General Eric Schneiderman opened an investigation into ExxonMobil. Schneiderman is investigating that corporation to figure out if ExxonMobil lied to the public about climate change or lied to investors about the risks to the oil industry.
Okay, now I understand. I understand what you're saying. They're trying to nail the oil companies like they did the tobacco companies. I got you. crazy.
The investigation is based on the fact that earlier this year it was revealed that Exxon not only knew about climate change as far back as 1977, but they actually researched climate change and the impact of burning fossil fuels extensively for more than a decade. Even so, Exxon spent $30.9 million between 1998 and 2014 to fund think tanks that ran climate denial campaigns. And the fossil fuel industry as a whole spent $141 million in lobbying just right here in the nation's capital. Just like the cigarette companies funded research to prove that nicotine is safe and not addictive.
Oh, stop.
Exxon.
Stop. You can't make this the way he did this. It's bogus. He says they spent $141 million on lobbying, just like the tobacco industry spent on tricking the public.
Yeah, or just like the military and industrial complex does on buying off senators.
This analogy is bogus. This guy is misleading the public on purpose. It really galls me when you hear people going out of their way. I mean, one of the things about our show, we reveal a lot of stuff, but I don't think we try to mislead anybody.
No, and sometimes we're just flat out wrong, but we
could be wrong.
It happens.
We could be wrong. It does happen. There's a lot of it.
We're not scripted. We don't have producers like
We're not trying to mislead you. Oh, and this climate change thing is all about misleading. But the way he did that, that's why I got the clip.
I agree. Anyway. I agree. Disgusting.
To prove that nicotine is safe and not addictive, Exxon seems to have been funding research and paying off politicians to sow doubt about climate change. But if the investigation turns to prosecution, who would the plaintiffs against Exxon be? And how much responsibility should the company bear, considering how long they knew and how much they profited? Here now to discuss this investigation and what the true cost of Exxon's climate denial might be is Dr. Keely Boom, Executive Officer at the Climate Justice Program. Dr. Boom, welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Do you think this investigation will go anywhere?
Well, at this stage, there's no civil or criminal charges that have been pressed, and the news report came through an anonymous leak, so the New York is not talking officially about what's happening, so it's difficult to make any determination at this stage. But it does appear that it is going somewhere, and that it's likely that further companies will also be investigated, so it might be broadened beyond Exxon as well.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't take her anymore.
Let
me finish. The conclusion of this was going to be they started working on the math, and they figured that Exxon should be paying out. This idea of scamming everybody for money. Exxon is responsible for most of the climate change, and they should be paying billions and billions to everybody. So it was a same conclusion as what they're trying to do at that OPC.
Well, with this type of reporting, John, you know what we need.
What?
Because of what's happening in Greenland right now, the maps of the world will have to be redrawn.
That's right, everybody. It's time once again for
This is what would happen to San Francisco Bay.
Well, I have to say this, which is a performative. I have looked out there for this report every so often. It has never been this low tide. There's like no water in the mudflats.
Are you telling me that the Arctic has not delivered water to the mudflats?
The mudflats are really muddy today. Let's put it that way.
All right, thank you very much, John C. Dvorak. We know what's up now. Woohoo! That's right.
We still have people that listen to this show that love everything we do except this segment.
Really?
I still get a letter.
About the mudflats or about global warming in general?
Climate change.
Yeah.
You guys don't know science. Blah, blah.
I like there's one guy who keeps hounding me. I just can't answer him. And by the way, yes. I find myself, this is something I do all the time. And you might want to, not you, but anyone listening may want to consider this. I'll see someone's with some comment on Twitter. I'll write my reply and then delete it. And then I feel good, and yet I haven't wasted any energy.
So you write your reply.
Mm-hmm, and then I don't send it. I don't post it. I just delete it, and I feel better.
Oh, you just get out of your system.
Yeah, because I'm like, why am I engaging? And then you look 53 followers. No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, no. People that come on with
not going to go that.
10 followers, they're just coming on just to...
No. So we were listening to Progress on the way back on Monday, And then
you love that station.
Yeah, because
you're a hate listener.
It is astonishing to me that this is how a large group of people thinks. Arguably half of the country thinks this way, or half of the voting population of this country thinks the way.
I would guess more of a third.
A third. Well, it's bad enough.
It's a lot.
And so then you have Thom, and then this Michelangelo Signorelli comes on. And I say to Tina, I said, watch. Within 2 minutes, it's Bush's fault. And sure shooting, within 2 minutes, Paris was George Bush's fault. Unbelievable.
How did he come to that conclusion?
Because ISIS was created in Iraq. That's now the story. Therefore, it's George Bush when he accepted the lies from when he made the lies, which of course it was New York Times really who propagated the lie with wrong, if not disingenuous reporting. And I'm not trying to defend Bush. So I'm pretty sure Cheney is still involved in all this crap with the skull and bones, and he's probably running a lot of it in the background. But it's just I'm going to pull some clips from this guy. This has got to be my new guy to hate. I'm going to work on it.
Okay.
Then a little concerning, although I'm tracking it, but I don't see it going anywhere fast. The FCC is now saying, in response to the Paris attacks, they want the power to monitor and shutter websites. And this is going back to Kalia, which has come up a lot in the past. Well, since we've been doing the show.
Whose websites?
Anyone they want, anyone they deem inappropriate.
FCC?
Yes. And they're
websites?
Yes. And they're saying they have. Wait for me. Together, John. Kalia, the Communications Assistant for Law Enforcement Act. They're now saying, well, we have all kinds of authority under Kalia to do things, but it hasn't been. We've heard this many times. It hasn't been updated for today's technology. But Wheeler really thinks, this is the FCC chairman, really thinks that they have the authority, just not the verbiage, to do this. Which is interesting because it's the Department of Homeland Security that at least controls DNS and shuts things down. So I'm following this. My beat. I'm following this.
You got it.
See what comes up.
This is the net neutrality taken to its extreme.
Oh, yes.
There's a couple of words we haven't heard recently.
Oh, no, I read it on The Verve, had a whole thing about T-Mobile now giving unmetered access if you're watching Netflix or if you're streaming Spotify or Pandora. It doesn't count towards your data, which actually was a very cool way for T-Mobile to up their monthly pricing. That was kind of slipped in. It was funny the way they, not funny, it was interesting the way they did that. But then, The Verve was like, this is net neutrality. You can't, this is the... And that's exactly how The Verve sounds in everything they write. A little under the radar note here from the Gates Foundation. There's a big merger happening up in Scandinavia. It's not Canadian National. That's what Gates has the stake in, right?
Yeah.
But Canadian...
I think it's CRX is what I think.
Well, does he have Canadian Pacific as well?
I don't know.
Because they're looking at acquiring another company. It doesn't matter, but through that I found, looks like they're changing their investment strategy, and I think Planned Parenthood is done. I think they're done. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has announced a 3-year, $120 million grant to Family Planning 2020, a global public-private partnership comprising governments, multilateral and private sector organizations, individual donors, then the research and development community working to provide 120 million more women and girls with access to effective contraception by 2020.
Do you think that Planned Parenthood may be part of this?
I don't believe so.
Well, you don't know.
Well, it's this Family Planning 2020, and I haven't seen that connection just yet. The only connection I'm pointing out is that Bill and Melinda Gates, contributing to killing people in Africa. It's usually what it's used for.
Well, this is just the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I have an interesting thing. My beat,
yes,
is following the Ben Carson slams. Slam Fest.
Was this part of 3x3?
In this case, let's see, I got Judy and I got Democracy. No, in fact, it wasn't.
Darn.
This is the more deeper news stories, including the fantastic Democracy Now! Show where Amy Goodman, and this, by the way...
the War and Peace Report?
Yeah, the War and Peace Report. She comes out with this little comment after there was a correction that was at least thrown at Judy Woodruff, which kind of explained a little bit of this. But why not? You know, you hear this stuff about Ben Carson. He's a black guy who's a Republican, and they should be rebuked.
Yeah, of course.
Just for being black and
Uncle
Republican.
Uncle Tom.
And so here he is getting slammed. This is the Carson slam of the day, Democracy
People
Now!
Can then pull apart and say, see, I told you.
No. Is this Carson slam of the day, DN?
Oh, I'm so sorry. My mistake. Here we go.
Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson's own advisors have acknowledged he's struggling to comprehend foreign policy. Carson, who's leading...
Yeah, just the way she says that, it is so demeaning.
Yeah.
He's struggling with it's so demeaning. Oh, he needs to be programmed. Or I don't know what she's trying to say, but it sounds demeaning.
It's horrible.
Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson's own advisors have acknowledged he's struggling to comprehend foreign policy. Carson, who's leading Republican candidate in some polls, has blundered on the topic of foreign policy, including wrongly claiming China's involved militarily in Syria. Speaking to the New York Times, a top Carson advisor said, quote, nobody has been able to sit down with Carson and have him get one iota of intelligent information about the Middle East.
Is that unbelievable?
Yeah.
Here's Judy had the same kind of slam piece she was going to do with him on the air.
Mm-hmm.
And this clip is the Judy versus Ben Carson clip. And there's a little tidbit in here that I think that Amy ignored.
People can then pull apart and say, see, I told you he doesn't know anything, when in fact you really need a much more comprehensive answer to some of these questions.
Well, this is your own advisor, Mr. Claridge, saying that in his words you need weekly briefings, in his words, quote, to make you smart. One of your other advisors...
He's not my advisor. He is not my advisor. He is a person who has come in on a couple of our sessions to offer his opinions about what was going on. To call himself my advisor would be a great stretch. And he has no idea who else I'm sitting down and talking to.
Who is your principal advisor on national security? Because one of your other advisors, Armstrong Williams, has said that he said you're still on a steep learning curve.
I am. You know, I know a lot more than I knew a year from now. And a year from now, I'll know a lot more than I know now. You know, in medicine, we have something called continuing medical education. You have to get those credits in order to be recertified. I think that applies to every aspect of our lives, particularly in a rapidly changing world.
Well, she, by the way, when he said he's not my advisor, because she's just reading from a script, she actually was flummoxed.
I saw that. I saw it. I happened to see
wasn't
this.
it good? But meanwhile, of course, this happened way before Democracy Now! War and Peace Report woman went off after him with this other thing. I don't know anything about the China deal, but I do have the little flub that he made, though, ISO'd. And which I think is, this could have put it better than this.
You know, I know a lot more than I knew a year from now.
I didn't hear that. Good one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm agreeing with Judy. Ben Carson's an idiot. Yeah.
Well,
my goodness.
Kind of always thought that.
Goodness. Hey, do you know anything about the secret Chinese electric car?
No.
From
no, is that the one that's the exact look-alike of
No. It's from Faraday Future.
Okay.
And it's backed by some multi-billionaire. And apparently it's staffed by all former Elon Musk or Tesla engineers. And
Chinese engineers.
Well, maybe. I don't know. The billionaire backers, Jia Zhuangting, founder of Le TV. That's China's Netflix. I think it's there's like some picture, and it looks like a really cool car.
It'll be a Tesla at 1/3 the price,
and it'll be twice as good.
It could be. You don't know. I mean, the Chinese products can be really good. I mean, most of the good cameras are made in China now.
But I even like the name, where it's, you have Tesla, and then you can use Faraday, as in Faraday cage, as your
Faraday's
your counter branding.
Cute, very cute.
I like it.
Well, pretty soon we'll be driving Chinese cars.
You got anything else, man, or can we go?
I do have one thing that.
No, that's where you say fucking A.
This is. Let's play this little tidbit that everyone should be aware of. This is Netanyahu indicted in Spain.
Yeah, exactly.
A Spanish judge has issued an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and 7 other former and current Israeli officials over the deadly 2010 Israeli raid on the Gaza-bound aid flotilla. 9 people were killed when Israeli commandos stormed the Mavi Marmara in international waters. A 10th died after 4 years in a coma. The case against Israeli officials in Spain emerged after Spanish activists on board the flotilla sued Netanyahu. The judge's move means Netanyahu could be detained and questioned if he steps foot in Spain.
I always thought these things were EU-wide. If you did this indictment, if he stepped foot anywhere in the EU, he'd be pulled into Spain.
Yeah, good question. I don't know.
That's what I thought was she didn't go, because she doesn't cover anything like that. I might as well play this last thing just to get it out of the way.
All right.
Just screw you, Russia. This is Saudi Arabia buys more arms from us.
The Obama administration has announced approval of a $1.29 billion arms sale to Saudi Arabia, despite reports of possible war crimes in Yemen. The State Department approved the sale of tens of thousands of bombs, as well as munitions and other weaponry produced by Boeing and Raytheon. The weapons replenish stocks used by Saudi Arabia in the U.S.-backed bombing campaign in Yemen, where Amnesty International has warned of apparent war crimes by the Saudi-led coalition. Meanwhile, executions in Saudi Arabia have reached a 20-year high, with more than 150 people executed this year.
Yeah.
Of course, that second item has nothing to do with it.
No,
with the story. Okay.
It's the military-industrial complex. But as we speak, are partying it up.
Yeah,
they are just beside themselves with joy.
I can't imagine what these parties are like.
I bet there's just hookers.
Oh, first class, first growth Bordeaux's, champagne,
caviar.
Oh yeah, lots of caviar. That's why people out there, you wonder why caviar is too expensive. You know why?
Yeah.
It's these guys.
Speaking of which, I've fallen into. I had not watched it, but I finally got into The Americans. Have you ever watched this series?
Mimi likes it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I can't watch it. I've tried to watch it.
The first episode was harsh because I didn't
like the first episode. I don't like the atmosphere of the show. It's dark.
Yeah,
it's just dark.
Yeah.
Turn on some lights.
You know what? I kind of like it. Yeah, and that girl, what's her name? Carrie something or other. Carrie Russell.
Yeah.
Oh, now that's a spy.
Yeah, there you have it.
All right, everybody, we will go back to our C-SPANs and to our 3x3s, scouring the dark web. And continue to keep everything coming. Those of you who are sending us information, it's all highly appreciated. Sunday should be fun. But at least I hope so. Who's moving where?
Yeah, there'll be...
We need a term.
They'll be packaging this up for Sunday.
Packaging. There you go. Perfect. Coming to you from the Crackpot Condo, or should I say Crockpot Condo, in downtown Austin, Tejas, in FEMA Region 6. In the morning, everybody. My name's Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it was Sauerkraut Day for me, I'm John C. Dvorak.
And we will return on Sunday with another episode of the best podcast in the universe right here on No Agenda. Adios, mofos.
Gentlemen, please rise for your Gitmo Nation National Anthem.
In the morning, Gitmo Nation, we are all charged up to be human resources and service in all lands and all ships at sea.
From the east to west, down under to the lowlands and beyond. We are happy and distracted slaves.